Welcome to a special public meeting of March 26, 2018 of the Township of Washington Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on March 22, 2018, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Please notify the Township Clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at Mayor and Council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Could everybody please stand for a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Bruno. Councilman Cassio.
Here.
Councilman Cumming.
Here.
Councilman Ullman.
Here.
Council President DeSena.
Here. Can I have a motion to open the meeting up to the public?
So moved. Second.
Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. I know Mrs. McDermott's here for her, right? So we'll hold off on her until it's her time. Seeing nobody else in the audience, can I have a motion to close to the public discussion?
So moved. Second.
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Cumming.
Yes.
Councilman Ullman.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Well, welcome everybody. We'll continue the discussion of the 2018 budget. If you don't mind, Sue, you had said Mrs. McDermott wants hers to be in the public, you said? Okay.
Yes, she does.
Can we discuss that first, gentlemen, so she doesn't have to sit here?
Sure.
Unless...
Sure. Good idea.
Unless you have nothing better to do.
No, she's
That's why I asked for you to go first. Anywhere you'd like.
And accommodating.
Yes. Okay. So, give me 1 second to... So you had asked that we do this out in the public, which we are.
Yes, because I'd like to hear straight.
Right from the horse's mouth, as they say.
Oh, yeah, you know, I don't want to hear.
Well, I don't think there's any issues. I just...
I'm not hearing rumors or anything like that.
What page are we on? Marianne, do you know what page
It's
we're on?
on my page 34.
Oh, I was going
so
off the condensed
It should be in
versions.
your 34, 35. It's 26, 290, 130.
It's on page 35, yes. Okay. So we're going to increase the DMF position to 25 hours per week in the last week of January, and a raise to $15 per hour on 7/16/18. Am I reading that correct, Peter? That's your recommendation?
Correct, yeah.
So total line item of $18,520 was requested, $18,520 was recommended.
Yes. Now, it says in January, but you haven't started the 5th
I haven't
day,
started,
right? Okay,
correct.
so it's still the 4 days.
Right.
Okay. When will you start the 5th day? Do we have a date set for
It's
that?
Family Matters that I'm
Okay.
attending to.
That's
So,
So do you think June, July?
what is this, March? I'll see what I can work out with my siblings.
Okay.
So that's taken care of.
How are we tracking when calls come into the DMF right now?
I answer
Is there a
them.
procedure? Like
There is. I answer
Okay.
them. I greet them with my name, and you've reached road department, and they tell me what their issue is. I take down their problem, their phone number, and if I can help them on the phone right then and there, I will. If not, I call them back, and it's usually the last couple of weeks have been
Active.
branch pickup and leaf pickup, and I still get calls for recycling, which we don't do. Garbage pickup, which we don't do, and a lot of the residents don't know about the new calendar procedure, the way the calendar is set up. They're waiting for the flyer to come in the mail, so I walk them through the calendar to show them where to look for certain
Gotcha.
things that they're inquiring about.
Are we creating like some kind of spreadsheet with all the calls that come in?
I keep a book.
Oh, you keep a
Yeah,
okay.
out
All right.
there. And then as I as I assist them and I answer their question and they're happy, I just put a line so I know that I took care of them.
Okay, but we have a document that says, hey, we responded that this was
Yeah.
paid. Okay.
So what I used to do, because I got a lot of calls on property maintenance over at Fairlawn. And the procedures developed from the best things that you experience in a municipal situation. Often there's not a standard to go by or a training. So I brought my business knowledge from private industry as well as public works into that office, and I used a spiral book. And I took the phone number, which came up on a caller ID. I also, maybe this should be in a secure session, asked them for their phone number or best reach number,
Right.
as the Verizon people say, and got the name, the condition, made any notes of the nature of the call, because some of these calls can be very, very taxing. I've experienced a lot of screaming and yelling and not the nicest people in the world, because they have a problem. And they're calling you because you have a problem.
If I can interject.
Please.
That's fair law. We're Washington Township.
Right, I
We're
have to say-
grumpy people here.
Really?
Come on.
Oh, see, I haven't done the phone
I have to
here. I wouldn't
say, the
know.
majority of the people are very patient and they're very kind and
That's
they're
how I
very
found you
grateful.
when I called up on 2 occasions.
Thank you.
Yes, and Mr. Lawler also.
Yes.
At the end of the day. But I just wanted to say that it's one of the most challenging jobs, aside from present company on the DS, that there are around. The people who answer the phones take all the fire and fury. So,
Well, I know what it's like to be on the other end wanting answers or when my leaves are going to be
well,
picked
you
up.
need
So
help.
I understand.
People need help.
Right.
But
I'm a
I just
homeowner.
wanted to say it's one of the most taxing jobs around, including the ones on the DS, and I hope we'll all understand that. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I expressed the concern, in my opinion, the role of its secretary, but basically you are the administrative arm of Bill
Yes.
and the department.
Yes.
That as the administrative arm of the department, it's important that he and the team can leverage you and benefit from you being there. And if that means working on reports, submitting POs, being involved with that process, I think it's important, or I believe it's very important, that you be able to do that, and that are a value add to the department and the DMF function. The concern I expressed is I didn't know if that was, if you had that background, and if the department was leveraging or benefiting as great as they could from the person that's there, meaning you. So, you know, that's my concern. I expressed that to Peter as the mayor. I expressed it to Mary Ann as the administrator when we had a discussion previously, and the concern continues.
Okay.
And you know, I'm sure that you are working, you know, to the best of your ability. You know, my question is, again, is Bill and the department receiving the most benefit from, for lack of a better term, the head count that is there?
What
So-
would you like to see me do that's different?
Well, quite honestly, I don't know specifically what you do day to day. I'm relying on Bill, basically,
Right.
to say that, you know, we're getting everything we can.
Right.
We're getting assistance in the areas that we need it, and that, you know, he supports not only, you know, what's being presented, but he supports you as the person that's doing it. And I've asked that. I don't know if Peter or the administrator have had a chance to speak to Bill about that. But that's my basic concern, is that, you know,
That's yours.
in your administrative role, are you providing to Bill and the team maximum return? So,
Well, Bill and I work in tandem, you know. If he needs something, purchase order. If he needs me to make a phone call, I make a phone call. I do the requisitions for the trucks, materials that we need in the garage. If he needs a file pulled, I take care of that. If he needs a phone number right away, I get that.
so, like, to me, you know, we have some new trucks in the yard. We have a bunch of old trucks in the yard. I understand that at one point we had some fairly comprehensive files about those trucks in terms of
Yes.
their repair history, things of that nature. I understand that those have gone missing. So do you maintain a file? Like, so to me, I would be looking to you, you know, you've asked, I would be looking to you to have a file for each truck.
Right.
You know, to understand, and again, I know you're not a mechanic, but, you know,
Well,
when
if-
things need to be.
Right, if there was let's say there was a tire change on T11, you know, can I go back to that file? Yes.
Can we go back, you know, does the hydraulic oil, you know, what's the cycle to have that replaced on these trucks, the power takeoffs, these types of things?
Do you want me to have that knowledge of when a truck needs an oil change?
Well,
Or
I think we need a file that shows that.
Yeah.
I think we need a process to track that. So I don't think you need personally to know that.
The knowledge
But I
of
do
that.
think that, you know, you should have the wherewithal and the ability to interact with Bill, the team, and the mechanics, either in-house or that where we send out, to say that this is coming back in, you know, we've just changed the oil. Is this good? Does this need to be done in 2,000 miles, the 200 hours? And, you know, have an awareness of that. So our files are comprehensive, and that we have the ability to identify if there are issues that need to be addressed.
Okay.
So that would be an example. You know, so again, I know you're not a mechanic, and I don't expect you to be one, but to have a process,
Heighten my knowledge of,
or to have a process that will allow you to support when the mechanics come and ask you a question. When was the last time the hydraulics were changed? When was the last time the brakes were changed, tires, things of that nature? So, you know, it's at your fingertips, it's at anyone's fingertips.
Okay.
And that they can have that information available to
okay.
them.
I understand.
Again, it's, you're a, you know, the term is secretary, but you're really an administrative support for Bill and the DMF, and I think that's really, you know, where we need to get to leverage that as best we can.
Okay.
If I can just...
Peter,
I'm sorry.
Sue, can you just show the minutes that Mr. Bruno has joined us? Thank you. Go.
To that end, what I see happening there is kind of a two-phase thing. I'd like Patty to start to keep an Excel spreadsheet as early as next week, which I'll review with her, and in effect almost have one sheet per truck with columns on it.
Sure.
But right now, what I'm researching for my business is software that does vehicle maintenance follow-ups and like that.
Sure.
So I am getting familiar with those type things just as a part of my business, and I'd like to see how it fits in with our police fleet, DMF fleet, and, you know.
I mean, even the fire department, if they wanted to
Right.
be a participant in it.
Sure, yeah.
But yes, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's large capital outlays, and we want to keep them
Protected,
optimized.
correct, yeah. So yeah, I see that happening, and again, I don't fault Patty for not having it in place, but it's something that we plan on instituting, at least the Excel part soon, and then do the research on specialized software.
Mr. Mayor, can you move, talk into the microphone?
I'm sorry, yes.
It's like a shadow.
Yeah.
Looking down from above. Okay.
So you'll reach out to me with that, or?
Certainly
Okay.
will.
Anything else, Mr. Cassio?
I have no questions.
Mr. Bruno?
No, I guess I'm coming at the tail end, but my only question is what, as a job description or guidance, or like who's saying to you, here's a list and this is what we want you to follow. Are you getting that from anybody? Or are you just sitting there? I mean, it comes as...
I'm not just
I'm
sitting there.
not saying that,
No,
but
I
as it
know.
comes as it goes, I mean, are you getting a list of saying, here's what needs to be done, like with the branches that fell, here's how we're gonna, attack the branches, if people call,
Well, there's
say X,
different
Y,
zones.
Z?
There's-
No, I'm just asking, are you getting something from Bill or anybody in DMF that's specifically spelling out certain things that you need to
Bill
do?
informs me every day what zone you're gonna do.
Okay.
So if someone calls from Zone 2,
Mhm.
Zone 3, I say they're gonna be taking care of your leaves or your branches on Tuesday or Wednesday. So we kind of have
But the overall strategy, like the branches, the overall this has nothing to do with you. I'm just
No, I
trying to
understand.
understand what direction or what feedback you're getting from the DMF that says, here's our game plan,
Mm-hmm.
just in case they call us on 1, 2, 3, 4, we're behind, we're not behind. Are you getting updated on this stuff, or is it just daily, or how's that work?
It's daily. It's daily of how far they got. I do, like I said, I do take people's information and I look at the map to see what zone they're
Okay.
in to help them understand that, it was a large storm that hit us.
Yes.
So there is a lot of branches down.
Let me rephrase my question. Do you feel that you need more, whether it's guidance or information to do your job? No?
No,
Okay. All right,
no.
that's fine.
Well, and I,
Pat, do you think you need and do you have a job description of what you're doing in that department? Do you have a detailed
No.
job description at all?
Well, like when Patty came on, the former person who was outgoing, Lisa, came in, and also Marie Weber. You kind of had two people in there all at once.
I had two people for a
generations.
day. Yeah,
Okay.
showing me their two different methods, so.
Marie was in there for a longer
Oh,
than a day.
She kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, she did, she helped me.
yeah. No, but they basically showed her the ropes of how they did it. But that's not to say there's improvements that can't be made.
Well, I'm not saying, I mean, someone says you are now the administrative assistant to the DMF. That could be anything, Usually in most positions, it gives you a very detailed job description. That can grow and shorten over time, but these are the responsibilities that you have. And it's very hard to be in any position if you don't have one
I
of those
understand, sure.
job descriptions. And I think it's imperative, and that's just not for your department, for every department, saying, I need to do, or I'm responsible for X, Y, and Z. It's hard to go into a job with no guidance whatsoever if it's not written down. Because you can easily, that's not my job, or I didn't know I
Right.
was supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And again, no reflection on you, but that's what every job in any business, government entity should have. So you have an idea of what
My responsibilities are.
responsibilities are, exactly. And again, as far as I'm concerned, you're doing a good job. I haven't heard anything negative about the department at all. Everything seems to be handled in a public relations way, I guess, very, very well handled. But again, you need that guidance from your superiors to make your office efficient. I'm just hoping you're getting that in some form or another.
Okay.
Have you, just wondering, I don't know if you had any experience with Excel in the past? I mean, we keep talking about
I
Excel
have.
and assuming that people know how to operate it,
Right.
but not everybody does.
I don't know it to the max, but I do
Okay.
understand it.
Um,
I can maneuver myself through.
Well, that's great. There are about 1,000 million switches in that, like there are in Word, that you can pull up different
Right,
functions.
right.
So if you have any, I have a very light working knowledge also. Little training at the Police and Fire Academy for the county, but then a lot of it's self-taught. Thank goodness it's user-friendly. Good luck with it, and thank you for knowing something
Yes,
about it.
thank you.
Maybe I'll call you for advice.
Don't accept.
Then I'll be calling you for advice next.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at Word. Self-taught of necessity.
That was it for me. I mean, I do think, though, that if the minimum job descriptions aren't job requirements aren't documented, we should make it a point to try and do that. If it's, submitting purchase orders or requisitions, compiling, this request for the equipment, monitoring, whatever that is, dealing with the public and, keeping an accurate call log of who's come in, what's been handed off and what's open. Some of these things don't get resolved immediately, so, do we have a tickler to follow up and make sure that, Jane Doe on Kennedy, is going to get her washing machine picked up in 3 weeks. It's not going to be tomorrow. So, that would be my only comment.
Mike, to your point, there is job descriptions that come down from above, and there's also things that you do that the administration or your superiors might not know what you do. And I think it's a good idea for all employees to say, hey, this is what I do on a daily basis, and let your superior, Peter, or whoever the department head, this is what I do every day, because they might not know what you do. I don't know what you do every day, and sometimes I don't know what I do every day.
Do you have a pen and paper?
I write it down, but that's a way to start that job description, so you have some idea where we're going. And it's just not for your department, all departments should have that.
Actually, we have them for almost every position. I'm not sure if there is one for that position. I'll look, and if not, one will be developed with Patty's input. One of the things that I just can comment that, again, like most departments, we were all hamstringed with poor computers, and that department was hurt because there was not a computer for Bill. So they were sharing a computer.
Oh.
So now that Bill will have a computer, it'll be a lot easier, and they can share files and Excel files together and work through things where they weren't able to in the past. Also new phones and everything, and they finally got a new printer at the end of last year. So
nice.
things are technology-wise coming together. So they had a printer and a fax machine. It just conked out, and they got a new one.
No, I know.
Yeah.
It's just, it's great that we've provided for this. It's a little ironic that it's taken so long, but it is good that you have a new machine.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this, and I've talked about it with Bill about developing forms, well, for him, but also for you. You just need a binder for almost every property has its own binder. Every vehicle has its own binder, so you can monitor things and keep everything together. But we'll work together on that.
Okay.
Does the server have shared files?
Yes.
So if they want to share files with the old DMF, they go into their shared file? on the
Yes, they
server?
can.
Finance can do it?
Yes.
Good.
Marion, I'm just going to change one thing you said. Instead of binders, electronic. If we're starting new things, I want to get away from paper.
Okay. I'm an old dog, sorry.
I like the I like the paper, but it'll go to electronics.
Yes, and we've seen
And one small-
paper can walk away.
Yeah.
Electronics
Right.
generally can't if
Right.
they're on a server.
Right.
So that's my concern.
One request I did make, and if it's slipped anybody's mind, I have a metal desk, and there's sharp edges on it, and I'm knocking myself in my knees. If there's a wooden desk somewhere in the building that I can just have.
There is. I didn't know you wanted one, and I thought somebody asked for one, and I thought you got one. I didn't realize it went to Bill.
Yeah, no, I
No.
didn't get one, and it's just.
No, there's one upstairs in the health department that you can
Yeah,
have.
if I could just get that, it would just make and Bill has one, and I would like one, it would just make the room a little more uniform, you know?
That's an easy
That's the
one.
least we can do.
Yeah.
We can send the guys up tomorrow to even get it,
Okay.
okay? Just have
That's
to make
just
sure
it.
it's cleaned out.
Yeah,
So you'll have to get that scheduled.
yeah, I'm gonna have to call myself.
So did you get new computers
Yes,
and monitors?
they're wonderful, yeah,
Okay. Good. And a working printer and a working fax machine.
perfect.
That's it.
Anything else,
Is there
Mr.
anything
Brown?
you want to ask of us? Is there any questions you have? Anything you need?
Come on, we just gave her a desk.
Desk and a computer.
A desk and computer printer.
Pick a chair.
Oh, it's the dynamics of working with 10 men and me. You know, I've gotten used to that over the 20 months that I've been there. At first, it was a little hard to get used to, you know, but I do have to say the guys that I work with are very, very, very respectful, and I really enjoy their working with them, and they're great guys.
That's good to
So,
hear.
I have to give kudos to that.
All right.
And one thing we'll be looking at also is maybe bringing Patty into this part of the building. It's a little tough being in that area all day, so she has asked that we consider that when we walk the building, if we can find space for her.
Just not in the basement.
And especially now, if her and Bill can share files on the computer, they won't need, to be running into each other and like that.
Right, but still close proximity
Right.
to each other that we can communicate.
Correct.
No, because I would imagine during daytime hours, you're there by yourself. For the
Oh,
most part.
I'm at my desk, and there'll be a resident at my door that I didn't even hear come in.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be coming in the garage.
They're,
Wow.
they're,
Yeah, from a security
they,
standpoint.
well, it's,
Yeah.
somebody
And they
came
could get
in-
hurt in the garage.
Well, that's what I do. I walk them out. I don't want them walking out by themselves. I take them out a safer route, then they came in, and I usually,
Is the door marked? I don't think it is.
There was supposed to be a doorbell. The
Yeah.
former mayor didn't like that,
Yeah.
but there was one installed, correct? But no one uses it, right?
nobody uses it.
So we
No,
can
but
get
is
a
there
do not
sign that-
enter.
Is there a do not enter sign?
We
like-
should get one. We should get some signage.
Employees only?
Yeah.
Right, just for safety purposes, and if there's
People
unfamiliar
wander through the
faces
garage.
also that I don't know, I usually walk them out into the garage and talk to them.
Yeah, because there are some deliveries that are made. They could ring the bell and then Patty could
Yeah.
come to
Well, we
meet them.
should
But
put
we
a
should
sign
have
up.
people traipsing
No.
through the garage.
Yeah,
Usually Ron's there though, right?
usually he's there, yes.
Not all the time, but
But we should get some kind of signage telling people
Absolutely.
not to enter the building, ring doorbell for assistance.
put that on your list of things to do as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, you should have a ring doorbell for assistance and,
In my job description.
Yeah.
That would be the, just for safety of both the resident and myself.
Okay.
You know, I've been in town for 34 years. I know a lot of people in town. Their faces are familiar, but there might be one or two that's standing at my door, and I don't know why they're there, because I don't know them.
Yeah.
So,
anything else?
no,
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, appreciate it.
Have a good night, and
You too.
We'll try.
cools off in here a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Safe home. The break room and the bathroom and so on need to be painted, maintained. I'm not sure where we're going with that,
Yeah.
but
Gentlemen, we want to start on page 1 and continue through all the items we missed, or is there somewhere in particular you'd like to start, Mr. Bruno?
No, I like that.
Mr., we start on 1 and go? We said we were going to stop at 9:30. Mr. Bruno.
Okay.
Well, the mayor has to leave at 9:30, but if we're moving and have something we can close out without, and we'll continue, but we had set a
Yeah, I'd like to try
time.
and get as much as done, because I don't know what my schedule is this week.
Correct.
I mean, I could always call in, but
Okay. So we had page 1, I had a couple holds there. Can we review 80120, 100, 120, 100, 140, and 100, 160, or do we need to go into close for that?
I don't think it has rice
There's
notices.
rice notices.
But do we need to go into closed if we
You
just?
can't.
Oh, we can't even approve the,
You can't go into, you can take action on them. There's nothing, it's all in
Yeah.
public.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
can take action.
These are all 1.5% raises.
Correct. Do we have any issues with those, gentlemen, so we can get those off our list? For
can we
80120?
ask the names again? Or what?
The 120 is
Yep,
Miss Bernadette Palmacala.
okay.
140 is Christina Donato. 160 is Mary Alice Clancy. Plus, there's a little bit for a summer intern if we are lucky to get the high school student back.
Do you have any issues with those numbers, gentlemen? It's calling for a,
let's do one first, 120.
yeah, 120.
We go with that, is that okay?
Is that okay, gentlemen?
Yes.
Next, 140.
Thank you.
Yes.
Why are we is that,
I didn't have a hold on that in my notes, but I.
I had a
missed
hold,
something.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's on hold. You just went, you skipped
skipped
over
it.
all salaries,
Yeah.
all
Okay.
wages in the beginning.
My error.
No,
are
that's
we
what it
okay
was.
with that, gentlemen?
You were about to ask why there's a decrease,
yeah.
that was because when I took over the position, I realized it wasn't a full-time position.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. She have enough hours?
We have the opportunity to give her more, without getting into it right now,
Okay.
she's doing the most she can.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Doing
For
payroll-
140,
Doing
100?
payroll also?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Moving on, 160, the 80, 120, 100, 160, floating staff. Everybody okay with that? It's a 1.5,
Yeah, I don't know if it's 1.5, it's up a quarter from
it's up
15.
a quarter an hour, yeah.
I had an okay on that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Is
The
that
other
all right
one
with you?
is 110. I thought we had a closed session discussion.
And that was approved, yes.
But we had to do it in public.
Oh, okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think we have to approve
Oh,
it.
80, 120, 100, 110, 1.5% raise. We had discussed it in closed, gentlemen. Are we okay with it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Mr. Mayor, on 100, 170, I know we've been delayed with the weather for the grant consultant meetings. I know we were supposed to have one during the snowstorm last week.
Yes.
Do we want to put a placeholder in there?
Well, that particular, sorry, Mayor, but
No,
she's a percentage of whatever's awarded.
Correct.
So
So we got-
If we happen to choose her.
If we happen to choose her or anybody, it's either a monthly retainer or a 10% of the application. That's how they work.
Well, obviously, I'm happy to say that she's not at 10% yet.
I think if she gets
she-
it, right?
she-
Didn't she say that? If
She was
gets
coming
the
in
money?
lower.
Oh, she was. Oh, that's
coming
awesome.
in, and I think typically, if it's, for instance, for a capital project, it might be out of the soft costs. I don't know that you'd have to have a line here.
I just-
But you could have a placeholder in there, but, I mean, that, the most that any amount was, he had recommended nothing, so I think,
I was just concerned how we'd pay her or his or whoever's
And-
costs.
and it would not, first of all, it can't be there, first of all, because that's if you have somebody as an employee, so right away, you can skip over that line if you want to add it later on, but that's in the salary and wage section, you cannot fund that line for somebody who's not an employee.
All
We've
right,
had
so-
these issues
So then we
before.
should zero delete.
That has to be
Then
zero.
that's a zero delete then, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So 170 will be a zero delete if that's okay with everybody?
Okay?
Okay.
Moving on to page 2, I have no holds there. Page 3, I have no holds there. Are we okay? Everybody agree with that?
I think the next line is the mayor's salary.
What's that?
I think the next line is the mayor's salary.
Office of the Mayor, yes, is 80120 110 100.
We put a hold on that.
We didn't approve any salaries on that page.
Oh, okay.
Everybody okay with that?
What page is it on? Sorry.
Page 4, right at the top. It's a
Oh,
double,
okay.
it's like a double flip.
Okay.
Bottom
The top of
three,
4.
four.
80120 110 100.
Oh, thank you.
It kind of rolls the page. It's a weird one.
Yes, sir.
It works out to about $5 an hour.
Anybody have an issue with that?
I will make a suggestion. You know, we always talk about, you know, how we're all not going to retire on this pensionable employment line. And I've brought it up for years that either we should bring it, well, I would do this job for nothing, but I know we really can't do that. But, you know, if we bring it down to under, I think it's $5,000, right, Mary Ann, before you have to go into the DCRP?
The
right?
DCRP is 5,000, yes.
5,000. You know, I'm gonna make the suggestion for the council to go down underneath the 5,000, the 499, and, you know, maybe we could do that for the mayor as well, if he'd be amenable to that. Again, we're not going.
I think it's such a minimal thing, Mr. Cassio, that I don't think it's going to make a difference.
I always throw it out there.
My only thing would be that if you ran and there was a salary contemplated, regardless of what it is, and you win, it can be yours. I mean, I think if you want to voluntarily go under that, I think it's completely up to you. I mean, I'm fine.
I've suggested it for 9 years, so I'm just making the
I
suggestion
know you
again.
have 5 years that
Yeah,
I've been.
you know, so
Yes,
that's
yes, it's
that's
nothing-
all.
nothing
That's
new.
all I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
nothing new, Pete. You
Yeah.
know, and it's not. It's obviously not a personal thing.
no.
So that's
Not
I just,
taken
I
that
just
way.
throw it out there for what it is. So that's all.
I'll just speak for myself for a moment, may apply to everyone. being in this job position, we attend fundraisers and things like that, that, you know, we're expected to put money out of our own pockets, you know. So, do I have any problem lowering it to 5? Not necessarily, but I could go either way on it.
Mr. Allen, go ahead.
What are we at? Like, what do we make?
6,300, I believe, in the range of $6,300.
64.
And not to put you on the spot, Art, but I'm gonna, you have an issue. You are not taking the salary, or you are? Did
I am
miss-
not.
You are not.
At the present time,
Okay.
until July 1st.
I was going to say, when we get to that line item, we're going to budget for half of his salary, because he's not going to collect it on July 1 for the first half. It's just, yeah.
Okay.
What are you saying?
No, I was going to say, whatever we figure out the annual amount, divide yours by 2, because we can't pay you for the, well, I don't want to get into it anymore, but,
I would assume not.
yeah,
And I would
no,
hope not.
yeah, no.
That I would collect whole salary in the second half of the year.
No, you can't.
If that's what I'm hearing, 'cause
No.
that was not my intention.
And it wasn't mine either,
I
so I,
give of myself freely for what I am worth, which may not be that much.
I'm okay with
I'm
110,
overpaying
100.
myself, you know.
Are you saying?
Yes,
I'm
I'm
okay
okay
with
with it.
110,
It's
100.
okay.
And
I'm
if-
all right with it.
All right, so that completes page 4, gentlemen, if I'm correct?
it's just the
our
bottom item. I
Oh,
think
our
is-
salaries, gentlemen, so that'll be adjusted because of Mr.
Well, if you
Cumming.
want it, if you agree at the rates, which is, it was at, everybody about a 1.5%
Yep.
bump, I will just reduce it for, now I have to back out the number.
Well, while you're doing that, Mayor, can I just make a quick comment? I'm not in favor, even though I know the excess goes to the surplus. When we lower it, then we have to raise it next year. It factors into the 2% cap that we, you know, so this one isn't a lot, but in general, I'm not necessarily a fan of lowering things that we know are gonna go back up next year. So I just throw that out there.
So Mary Ann's going to give us a new number
Yeah,
for
just bear with me. I'm looking real
80120.
quickly at the salary ordinance. So I'll
111,
just
100.
take out half of one position, which is, okay, so to be 6236 divided by
Causing
half.
trouble, Mr. Cumming.
31,
It hardly breaks you,
It's his
but at
middle
least
name.
it's a contribution.
Absolutely.
If only I could deduct it.
3,118, so negative from 31,407, makes it 28,289.
But Mary Ann, shouldn't we just leave it there, so this way for next year it's there and we don't have to worry about the cap or anything on it?
Well, I wouldn't want him to be in jeopardy for it, so
Oh, okay.
I don't think you're gonna, that number with the
So
2%
minimal?
cap, I think it's
So what is the
minimal.
new number?
I didn't understand that was Peter's point, 28,289. Do you want to
28,280.
change it all the way around? The requested is now 28,289.
Is that your new request, Mr. Mayor? Based on the
Recommend, or you're gonna
changes?
keep it?
We-
I certainly don't want to put Art in any jeopardy, so
Yes.
that would be the only reason I would change my recommendation.
Gentlemen, we okay with the 28,289 revised as per the comments?
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
Make sure that was noted.
Moving on page 5, I have something for closed session, so we'll discuss 801, 20111, 216 closed. Is everybody okay with that?
What's the reason for closed?
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's closed, but let me ask a question. When we dropped this one.
Because we riced them and he did not give us permission to
Yeah, but
discuss it in the public.
This is something we can still put in the budget. This is not him.
This is not,
This-
this is
this-
not
Oh, I
the attorney.
apologize, okay.
Right, so when we talked about this line item, Mary Ann, you know, there was like, the question was, is it how much per hour, how many hours? And for PBA contract, and I think you said you were gonna come back to us what you thought the hours might be.
Oh, goodness, I
mean,
didn't
I
realize
put-
you were waiting for that from me.
I mean, I said 40 hours, and
Not sure
everybody said
why.
I was nuts, so I don't know if we put 80 hours, I don't know what you wanna do, is my point.
Oh,
You are
Well,
correct, Mr. Bruno, I misunderstood.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but since it says labor attorney, wouldn't it come out of the law budget and so?
No, we had asked for the town attorney to hire a labor attorney.
yeah, but then it would be within his budget.
It would be
the law
within his budget.
It could be,
right.
again, it's professional service, it could be anything, it doesn't have to be, obviously,
Yeah, I
to the
think the
Department of
issue
Law.
is that because obviously you and Art can't get involved in the PBA negotiations,
Mhm.
so I had put a placeholder here for the council, because the council's the ones that are gonna be involved with the.
Negotiation.
So if we're dealing, I just put it in here as a placeholder, but it
Yeah.
has to go somewhere, but
Yeah,
I wanna make sure that we're the ones that are involved with the discussions and
Okay.
have
Yeah,
the
but
right amount.
again, I just want to make sure it's budgeted properly, and I think Ken said that any attorney he has to hire, and so I don't know if just the council, this area is the right place to budget for it, or whether it should be
Yeah,
in
but
the
the-
law, and I'll
Yeah,
leave it
no,
at that then, I just
no,
want to
I
make sure it's
get all that.
budgeted in the right
It doesn't have
spot.
to be, first of all, it doesn't have to be a labor attorney. It could be someone who's a non-attorney too.
Yeah, but the issue is when it goes into the law budget, he can not manipulate, but he can use any amount he wants for any other project,
Right.
which is what we did last year. We were taking money from
Yeah.
Paul,
yeah,
for Peter, and,
I-
we were taking 50 grand here because we went over there, so I want to make sure that none of this gets used except for what we need.
I think 40 hours is too little, Mr. Bruno.
Yeah, I put it in, I mean,
I think if we
again,
put, I
put
think,
80 hours?
I think that's even too low, but,
Depends if you're briefing, just in my experience,
yeah.
When we employed one where I was, it was 3 hours here, 3 hours here, we probably had 4 different sessions. So 10, I don't know, 40 hours could do it. It depends on the attorney you get. It really does. I mean, I know some that are gonna bill you only for, you're not gonna have a lot of extra work, because these guys do this all the time.
Correct.
They know the law
They know the
inside
law
and back.
inside
They're
out.
not doing legal research.
They want to do
80?
80 hours?
The number's the number.
But this wouldn't be in this line like Peter said. So Peter had recommended 7,000, which was what you contemplated for the town engineering study. To the extent you want to embed budget that money, it does come down in the Department of Law budget.
Yeah, but again, I think to Steve's point, these are professional services that the council wants to use. We put this in there last year, but I don't want this money being used in the law department and then, being up and down because we're over in one area and then you pull from this line item. That's
Okay.
what I don't want.
If that's the case, okay, what you do, you can put it in law and make it a control, okay? So it's law, labor.
You're pretty smart.
Labor
You wanna
line, and then you make it a control number. So
we
the
do
only
that?
way that money can be used
Yeah.
is for labor attorney. So if you want
So
to
do we
do it
want to
that
zero
way,
this line item out and
you
then
can
put it
zero-
in that and
Well, I
control
would leave
line?
this here for
For the other
possible
things.
other services.
Yes.
And I don't
Okay.
know if you need 7,000, maybe you need, I don't know, 2,000-3,000
Well,
maybe?
7,000 was the guy that,
Yeah.
who
For-
came
for
in.
the Study the
for
town
Bethany and
properties.
stuff, yeah.
Sarlo.
That was about
If you
7,000.
want
I
to
don't know
leave the
his
7 in,
name.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to,
Well, that was a quote that we had.
right.
I think it's even under, I think it's even under 7, Mr. Bruno.
I think it was like
4,800, yeah,
4,500, 50. I would be comfortable with 55 in there.
Gentlemen, we okay with
Comfortable.
making 111, 260, $5,500 as per Mr. Casio? Mr. Mayor, are you okay with revising your request from 7 to 5,500?
I don't want to make this too tight, so I'm going to say leave it at 7 is my recommendation.
So we want to leave it at 7?
I'm good. I would rather leave it at 7
Okay.
and
I agree.
have the money there.
Okay. So gentlemen, 111, 260, we're going to leave at the mayor's recommendation of 7,000. Everybody okay?
Yes, and it's contemplated that
Goes to the town
essentially is
engineering
for
study.
a Study
Right.
of some type. Okay.
Okay. I don't have anything else on that page. Going to page 6.
Page 9, I think, isn't it?
I think on page 6 I have nothing on page 6.
To Michael's point, do we have to do the clerk in public, since we're in public?
Yes, we have to do the
You do
clerk.
it all, Hubbard?
And the assistant to the
Yeah,
clerk?
so gentlemen, 80120, 120, 110, recommended and requested was made 75. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Assistant to clerk, raising the salary to $18 an hour, changing the line item from 24 to 24,480. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Everything else there, deputy clerk is 0 delete.
Well, just so the record is correct, that's the mayor's recommend, and you're
Yes.
adopting it. It's not an up or down from his number.
No.
Okay.
So we did 18 per hour now?
Yes, for the assistant to clerk.
Did we increase the hours?
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Yes, I
Oh,
believe you
29,
did.
29 hours, 29 hours, Mr. Bruno, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And it was effective when?
What was the April one?
Okay, she and I will iron this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, aren't all raises effective January 1st, or are we?
No,
The
no,
extra hours maybe.
Oh,
the extra hours,
Okay.
yeah. Well, they are unless your anniversary date is a different date.
Okay. All right, I don't have anything on page 7, gentlemen, do you?
Did you do the overtime for the clerk?
That was,
$750?
We left
Yeah.
that there.
we left that there, yes.
Okay.
We already approved
Oh,
that.
okay. I didn't have a check mark. Understood.
On page 8,
Didn't either.
8, I don't have anything.
The deputy clerk, nothing, I'm sorry.
Deputy clerk is
No.
0, yeah, it's a
That's
0.
a zero?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, I'm catching up, I guess.
On page 9, I have treasurer, 0, 110, right? Chief financial officer, we discussed this. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything to report on that, or?
About it going to full-time,
Yes.
I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say what I've done.
Are we okay to approve that number? Would that work?
For the balance of the year, yes.
What's that?
She's been raised,
Yeah.
so if you want to wait until closed session. we'll go
Right.
any
You wanna-
further.
all right.
Let's close, yes.
Let's close that one, gentlemen. Finance director, we find one yet, Mr. Mayor, or we want to just keep it there as a placeholder?
I'm 99% sure I have one. I should know for sure by the end of the week.
Gentlemen, are we okay
Before
with
the next
801, 20, 130, 140 as a director of finance?
Yes.
1,215?
We need one.
Yep,
Excuse me,
yes.
I'm sorry, Mary Ann, for the CFO, 120, I have down 75,000 from 3/12/18.
I agree, but I didn't know if that was done and closed, and now they're covering their tracks by doing it in open. That's what I thought this exercise was.
I don't think so, I think this was done, I don't think this was with closed though. All right, you know what, I will double
We're
check
gonna leave it
I
for
will double
closed,
check
is
that.
that all right?
Yeah, do
Yep.
you have a list of who was riced on that day?
Yeah, upstairs, probably.
Deputy
In the
treasurer,
front.
benefits coordinator, 801, 20, 130, 160.
Sorry.
There was a recommend, but nothing was requested on that item, Mary Ann?
Yes, what happened was, the instructions in preparing the budget was said, don't submit the salary because we're gonna do 1.5%. Others who didn't, I said, just give me the expenses, so that's why there was no request there. That's a 1.5% raise, and she had been bumped up in prior years. But we won't get into too much.
Yeah, I think that's fine,
Is everybody okay with 160 there, gentlemen?
unless there was some other conversations that she had with anybody.
I,
Oh, she's been riced, actually.
Yeah,
Let's do,
she's been riced.
she's been riced. We can talk
Yes.
about this in closed.
Let's bring it to close, please.
all right, closed. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have on page 9, gentlemen. Anything else? On page 10, I have a financial services fee, 801, 20, 132, 200. Flag, Mary Ann?
Yeah.
Guess that was going to be reduced, we had talked about. I have a note here.
Well, no, I'm not sure. I wasn't sure, actually. Frankly, Peter and I were talking about this, and he'd reached out to Ashley. This is one where, I'm not sure who flagged it or why, but this is the fees for doing the budget,
Yep.
which are pursuant to a retainer agreement, and for the AFS and ADS. So I thought I had this in an email today. So I think the budget was 5,000. And the ADS is 6,700. The debt statement is 500. 2, 1, 12, 20. And then every time you do a debt issue or a ban issue, you have a supplemental debt statement. They're 500 a pop. And then if there's any kind of consulting work, and also, I don't know, LoSAP has to be covered in this. Even if it's Mr. May, that's not part of his regular audit fee, so that's an add-on. And
We
there's,
never ordered a closed SAP. This has been going on for 2 years.
no, but whatever, and whatever you do, you're required to review it, but those fees are not part of the audit fees, so that's in this line. And that typically, I think, is like over 2,000, so the 17, I think, just gives you a little bit of squeaking room, about 2 grand.
Gentlemen, are we okay with 801, 20, 132, 200?
Well, have we called in LVH for any work outside of their contract at this point?
Not me personally, I don't know if Ashley did, but I don't believe so. So far, they're doing the budget. I don't know if the budget amount includes the user-friendly budget. I believe last year there was some, 5 hours of time for that, because that's a separate task. Probably ran about $1,000. I don't think, other than that, there was anything.
Do we need to use a friendly budget?
Yeah,
It's mandated.
yes, you do.
Oh, it's mandated?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our residents read it, you know they do. They come here and,
Well, I know it's like 4 pages, which isn't bad, but, it's good.
the calculations are a little tedious. I end
Yeah.
up doing them. I don't mind them. I know a lot of people hate them.
I mean, we have to, I feel we have to do it. We have to fund this. You know, I would like to explore possibly using another provider. You know, perhaps, I don't know who makes this call. I know, Marion, you had expressed it comes out of the finance office. That's fine. I think it should be a collaborative discussion, but quite honestly, I feel we made the change in auditor. One of the things we wanted was segregation, so I wouldn't want Lou May or his firm to be doing this. But, you know, we are asking for information that is, should be at people's fingertips if they've been here for 35 years, and, you know, these ordinances are still under review. We don't know how much money we can get out of them. I don't know if that sits with Ashley in conjunction with LVH, but I would like to cut the cord with them. And it may not be this year, but I think we should contemplate it for next year. So I'm happy to fund it for the 17, because the work has to get done, and we have someone under contract to do it. But
I agree with you, Mr. Ullman, your statements that we should look possibly in October or November to maybe make a switch if the mayor would be happy to review that.
If the funds, or if it goes over 17, because isn't 17 like the bid threshold, or?
17.5 is, but it's a professional services, so you don't have a bid threshold.
Does it need to be approved if it exceeds 17.5 by the council?
I think that might be, and also there's pay-to-play documents. That number 17 wasn't picked to avoid that, but,
Well, I
Understand your concern.
mean, even I know that. But, you know, does it become a matter of, well, okay, understood.
yeah.
I approve it, or I vote yes.
And I think-
I'm the new guy here. I have a question to ask. In my 25 years of municipal engineering work, luckily I was able to, I only went over budget a handful of times on one hand. When we are being, when extras are coming in, I know they get approved, and it seems like the council has no idea sometimes that these are approved. You know, it seems like it gets done in a vacuum, and then we find out about it later.
The number's the number.
Yeah, but if the number's over the original number, I think we should be transparent about it. I know the mayor is going to hopefully be transparent about
I
it.
understand what you're saying, but.
But
you know,
if somebody submits an invoice for $4,800 and then it ends up being $7,800, and we find $3,000 for them, and we hear about it after we're looking for the money to pay them, I think once we get to the $4,800, I'd like to see that person in front of us saying, I need $3,000 to finish this, and tell us why they need the $3,000 before we spend the $3,000, and then we have to find it. That's just my you know, thoughts on that subject, because it seems like it happens a lot.
Constantly.
And
that's why I said
I'm not
the number's the
happy with
number.
it.
If they know X is in here, they should be able to say, we can do this for under X. Instead of saying, well, we can do it, and they know you're gonna go over, okay? Because they have an idea, they're professionals.
Well, I think before they go over, they need to come to us and tell us why they need to go over. It seems like we kind of do it backwards, where they go over and then we're looking for $3,000. I'm making up numbers, you know, I'm making up the $3,000 number. Then we're looking for $3,000, but nobody's ever told us, well, we went over because, you know, this and this occurred, and this occurred, and I had to do more work. Nobody ever tells us that. It just happens,
And that
we're
should be
looking.
an
And I'm not
extraordinary
comfortable with,
circumstance.
and I'm not comfortable with that.
But
So I just want to put that on the
It happens on a regular
record.
basis here, like you said, and that should be an extraordinary circumstance where you run over.
Yeah,
or one or two
it
parts.
happens.
Not a constant, but an exception to the rule.
And before it happens, I think we need a document submitted to us saying, hey, we gave you a proposal, however, these following circumstances have come up and we're requesting an additional amount. And before they proceed with that amount, we should approve it. Because it seems like, you know, we always looking for money after the thing is done.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just like your house, you get an
Yeah,
estimate to
yeah.
cut down
What's that?
trees.
C&M hammered us last year.
It's just my view as the new
No,
guy.
I'm saying,
you
you
know.
thought 2,000 was more like 20,000.
Again, you get an estimate at home, it's gonna cost X, and all of a sudden, it's X times 3. Well, you gave me the estimate for X, you're getting X. I understand.
Unless you could substantiate why you
Tell me
need
why.
X three.
Tell me why.
Okay.
Marion, correct me if I'm wrong, I think one of the first questions I asked when I became mayor is how do we know we're not over budgeting a line item? And you said something like, if we get within 80%, Edmonds throws out a warning or something that,
Oh, I don't remember saying that.
no?
I know Janet used to like to do that, no. No, if you can't over encumber, but when you, the problem you have, and I hear
Didn't
exactly
put
what they're
words in your
saying.
mouth if you didn't
No,
say
no,
it,
no, 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 I don't believe I said that.
Okay.
No, but
But
the
for
control
professional
becomes-
services, what happens is, the way it's been done here, and I'm open and happy to change it. They basically submit their bills after the fact, and it's kind of like, if there's money there, there's money there. If not, it's like, oops, we need money in we need to transfer.
I'm not
But
comfortable with that.
Right.
neither have
They
I
should
been.
see- The council should see the bills on a regular basis and approve them. Most councils do. It's not post, it's pre. It's before they're
I
paid.
think, isn't this form of government though?
Yeah.
That's that the ability is to pay the bill and then put the bill list together to you. I don't know, it's a little weird.
Well, I just like to,
I think it's
I would just like, if somebody submits a proposal for $5,000 and they get to $5,001, I want them here to tell me why they're spending. I'm
And
being,
the only
I'm being
place they're
very,
gonna
you know, I'm
see
being
it-
very sarcastic about $1, but I want them here to say, these are the reasons we need extra money. I don't want them to spend the money and then us have to go crazy finding the money out of the budget and other items without even getting an explanation.
I'll communicate that to the directors, because it would be the director of finance, the director of engineering, and the director of law. Those are the departments where you have it.
And that's, I'd like it, from
mean-
now on, if we approve if we approve a proposal for $5,000 and they get to 5,000 and they're out of money, they need to come to us and ask us for more money before we entertain, before they get there, because they're getting paid and we're never approving the new proposal.
Yeah.
That may be 8,000 now.
The only thing that I've seen in my experience, it was the law department, and we did have discussions in closed session. But, I mean, the point's made, and I'm definitely happy to communicate that to
Okay.
those particular department heads, or anybody who employs a professional, because that's where
Any
you see
professional should
it.
come to
That's
us
where
and-
you see it happening,
Correct.
in the professional service line.
And any professional that's going over and needs a change order for additional work should submit it to us for review before they perform that additional work. Because technically, they're working at risk, and me as Michael DeSena, as the council president and councilman in Township, don't agree with them, they're working at risk. We shouldn't pay that invoice, just like we stopped.
Well, that's what happened with T&M.
With
at the end
T&M,
of the year.
correct. And I'm not picking on them, I'm not
Yeah.
using, you know, I'm just saying that I think before it happens, before we go changing budgets, we should know about it and approve it before they proceed. Because they're working at risk, and I don't like that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
In my world, I just don't pay them.
I don't either, so.
But there is a report that Marion does, which is how much we budgeted, how much we spent, how much is encumbered.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the difference in that. If we track that, then you can see where
Okay.
we at.
Yeah.
It's
And-
this whole
and-
thing, but detailed out.
And then for those departments, I can do that on a monthly basis for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So, okay.
What is the saying? It's easier to ask for forgiveness
It's
than
then permission.
permission?
Yes,
That sounds like your whole discussion.
yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
And
Mr.
it
Conley.
seems to be right.
So I guess Mr. Allman was okay with the $17,000 number for 132,200?
I am.
Is everybody else okay with that?
Okay.
I'm
Mr.
okay
Bruno?
with it.
Mr. Cumming?
Yes, sir.
All right, the next thing I have is, I don't have anything on page 11, do you, gentlemen?
I asked you to flag the tax collector, but that's a rice notice, so we're gonna,
We'll discuss that in
Yeah.
closed.
yeah.
Nothing on page 12, nothing on page 13.
We approved the tax assessor and assessor's clerk.
I have it as approved.
Okay.
So what, how much is it?
I have tax
22
assessor $20,251 for 150,110.
20,251?
Yep,
That's
and,
what I have.
and for 150,120, I have $5,320.
That's what
That's what we approved.
think
On
in-
page 14, I don't have anything. Oh,
Director
I
of
do.
Law.
We have Department of Law, which, Director of Law, which we're gonna talk about in closed session. That goes all the way down to 15 is all Department of Law. 16, we stop at Department of Engineering as 165,201. We flagged the cost, and we were provided more information from Mr. Azzolino, from the mayor.
Well, I just sent that to you, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since you're the engineer,
Yeah.
to get your take on it.
And I think we have, Sue, did we get a copy of that, or that email? Is it in our packet?
I don't think
No.
it was one of the ones.
Okay. Mr. Azzolino provided further guidance, and he's comfortable with that number.
Who's comfortable?
Mr. Azzolino,
What number?
the $83,000 number. I
think-
thought it should be higher. I thought it was low.
Yeah, but my question was, he submitted a piece of paper that said intersection 20,000. And my question was, so what does that buy us? Is he gonna do schematics? Is he gonna have meetings? I mean, you can't just throw a number in without a plan. You just talked about having a plan and where we're gonna spend it. Now we're just throwing a number with no plan. So my point is, it was 20,000 for the intersection. What are we getting for that?
I believe it was on there, Michael. He
Yeah, it
did
was on the
go
back
into more
page.
detail on some of the bigger ones.
I guess we need copies of it.
Can we,
Yeah, so I
during
wanted to
break,
give
can
it to
we
Michael
get a
to-
can we get a copy of that during break, Sue?
I don't think we're gonna have a break, it's 8:30.
Let's take that, okay.
So we'll keep it on hold?
I'll keep it on hold, okay.
Oh, no, we didn't get that one.
All right, I'll forward it
It's
to you.
between-
I'll forward it to the rest of the council. Well, I'll forward it to you, Sue, so you can forward it to the rest of the council.
Okay, deal.
I have Public Affairs next, Mr. Mayor, which we were supposed to get more information on.
Yes.
801-20406-110. The first one, the S&W event coordinators.
Just give me 1 second.
No, it's a new line item, or a new budget.
Yes.
The answer I have from them exactly is they're not sure yet how much will be paid to each event coordinator. Again, they'd like to use this as a trial year to
Bless you.
see who's going to be in charge of which coordinators to document what is done for each program. So again, they really don't address it that far in advance as to, who's going to do the, let's say, Town Day, because that's all the way in October.
Don't typically, the director handles it through volunteers? So we're asking now for paid people to do Town Day?
Well, we're asking for paid people, as the note says, just in this year to document what is done, because the volunteers have just been doing it each year from memory without documenting. They'd like to, I'll use Mary Ann's thing, they'd like to document it, put it in a binder, and that way, in the following
So who-
years,
who are we
it can
paying?
go back down to a volunteer who just follows the steps in the binder.
And I guess we had
Excuse me,
asked who
Pete,
would
may
get
I
the
just make a
salary.
suggestion?
Please.
Since this is a one-shot deal, this might be perfect for charging against the reserve.
Who are we paying?
I'm not comfortable with spending $9,000 on
I think the
event
whole line
That's what I'm
is-
saying, so if,
I think it should
If
be
you're a
out.
event coordinator, what did you do last year? Write it down.
Yeah.
Why are you paying?
I mean,
them?
can we look at the invoices? I personally think, if I'm gonna spend $9,000, Mr. Mayor, I don't want a $5 pony ride for my 4-year-old. I'll take the, I want free pony rides and free blow-ups for the whole town at $9,000. And I want anybody to take a dime out. If we're gonna spend that kind of money on that, Town Day should be free, and it should not be,
Well, if they don't know who they're using, right, Peter, is that what you're saying? I mean, they're putting a placeholder in for somebody that might do something?
That's basically it,
Right,
yes.
so my feeling is we do nothing and people's got, I mean, I don't know why it hasn't been documented, maybe
Again, it was
former
just.
people didn't want to do anything, but
Not that they didn't want to, but it was who's going to be involved from year to year, and that's why they'd like to spend a little extra time to get it documented this year. And
$9,000 for documentation is a lot of money.
yeah, well, I'd say no anyway.
I'd say no,
Whatever you want.
gentlemen. I don't know.
so you
what
have to
your-
make a motion to,
Make a motion to say no.
Gentlemen,
no, you
I'd
have to
like,
make a motion to reduce
I
it.
just made a motion to say
I'll
no.
second it to 0.
can we make 801-2046?
Can I make one comment before
Sure.
you vote on it, please? You're saying that if the volunteers don't step up to do this, potentially we're not going to have events. Because-
That makes no sense. We've been doing these events without somebody writing it on a piece of paper for the last 25, 30 years. Now you're saying we have to write it on paper to do an event? Something's amiss with this whole thing, so my feeling is, we have a public director, somebody who
Correct.
does this, who coordinates all these events every year.
Mm-hmm.
Every event, same person coordinates all these events.
It has it has grown a lot since she took over, and, you know, I think the town is happy for that. I don't think it's fair to expect her to do it for the director pay because it has outgrown that. But I'll leave it at that. You guys know how I feel about it. Yeah, again, it was supposed to be just a one-year thing, but I'll leave it at that.
So I just had one, I know there's a motion on the floor. I have one question. Would we be, so it's not so much the coordinating, so we are not essentially paying a previous volunteer, what was previously a volunteer. This is to document. So my question is, was this going to be done by a professional, like a consultant coming in to document?
No.
Or was this going to be a stipend to?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Allman, once you finish, before you, I want to interject something. When you're done.
Nice, he has this very, a very short attention span.
My ADHD.
As we all do, especially this time of night.
Who's got the Ritalin?
So, okay, so, was this contemplated that we were bringing someone in who has that expertise to document, or were we going to rely on sort of a stipend situation where the person who had been doing it possibly for the past 4 or 5 years was going to receive a stipend to create an operations manual? Was it the former or the latter?
I guess
So that
my
was an question also.
from I guess what I've taken from this whole discussion is that it was a prior employee. It's not a professional person.
It was a prior volunteer.
Excuse me,
yes,
a prior volunteer, not employee.
Yeah.
That's what I took from it.
Volunteer.
I don't know.
Well, again, there's a whole host of them that used to be in charge of certain events. So person A might have done
I
Town Day
understand
and.
that, but you gave us a number of $8,500.
Mhm.
So who are we paying $8,500 to? How many
It-
people, and who are they, and how much does each one get?
And what events are they doing?
And
Is
what
this-
events
is
are
this
they gonna do?
Is this
I
just
mean,
Town Day?
again, we can
No,
just-
no, I just use Town Day because that's the biggest one.
What are the, okay, we know Town Day, what are the other supplemental days? We're talking Veterans Day,
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
mean-
9/11.
But regardless, there's $8,500, so we're paying, you were planning to pay certain people certain amounts. So who are we gonna pay and how much for what event, I guess is my question.
Well, again, unfortunately, I can't answer the who because that was still to be determined as the events unfold. How many events, like you said, some are a lot smaller than others. Like even putting the calendar together, the new calendar, that wasn't necessarily supposed to be a volunteer effort to put that together with the we paid for certain amounts, but other parts, was under the understanding that someone would get paid to make the changes that we put in.
Okay, but, so let me just, I'm still gonna say no, but I'm just trying to understand this. So, before you said you were gonna have people who did the events, document the events, but you don't know who they are. Who did them, who you want documented.
Correct, that's
Right.
correct, yes.
So then, I still come back to, we made a motion, Mike?
I think Mike still had a question
still
on
have
the
a
floor.
question?
You interrupted his,
No, I think, Peter, it was, are we doing it professionally, or are we doing it?
Right, so we made a motion, where are you at? So we can move on.
Mr. Cumming, do you have anything?
A lot of questions, but I don't know what's going on. I share everyone else's questions and concerns.
So we made a motion, are you yes or no?
Vet the question.
That's a direct question.
I made a motion. I made a motion to
Second.
0 801 20460.
Can you have a roll?
I was just gonna say, how about we do a roll call?
Yep.
Okay. Councilman Bruno?
Yes, yes to 0.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes,
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
So then that's 3 anyway, right?
That's all you need. We did it.
Yes.
And Council President DeSena?
Yes.
I don't think it's a bad idea, Peter, but I think it's just, we need to understand what it's gonna be done, rather than just have money in there and then who knows what we get.
The
But
next-
maybe the answer is next year we get a professional. I don't know.
The next item I have is public affairs postage, 801-20406-220. 1,500 was recommended, 1,500 was requested.
And I'll just tell you that to date, I think $1,020 was spent already.
And what is this for postage for what?
That was for the calendar, and then there's about another 350 for town day mailings to our potential sponsor list and other miscellaneous things for the smaller events also.
Do we have a total cost of what the calendar cost us, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we do.
We did that.
I have the numbers here. I went and annotated alongside every budget line.
$500, I think we got 3,000, so net
Okay.
5,000.
Yeah,
But we had the numbers that we wanted to follow.
Yeah,
And next year, we expect to get a lot more revenue. It was rushed this year because of the...
everybody okay with this postage, gentlemen?
No.
I'm okay with the
You
postage,
you
but I
have to-
think what we, see, I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
No, we know, we have these numbers.
Yeah, but we didn't approve them yet, Mr.
I
Mayor.
know, but the exact numbers were provided to us in terms of what they spent for the calendar. So
I
we
can
got-
go through each
all we
line
gotta
item
do
and
is-
tell you when you get to it.
All we got to do is plop them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we said, we're okay with 1,500. I don't think it was 1,500.
No, but Peter just said it's
Peter just
300
said it.
more.
12.
So it's
50 and-
1,020, and he said there's another 300 something
For the
in the
mailings
pipe.
to all the-
And that
the
gives
mailings.
us slight cushion because you never know.
Yeah. That's what you said, Mr. Mayor,
Correct,
correct?
yep, that's what I meant.
I mean, part of when you have new programs is to get the word out.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with that. We have the numbers, so we should read the email that tells us what the
I
numbers
have
are.
it, Bob. I have the
Okay,
actuals
so
from
tell
the
us the
GL.
numbers.
I told you, so far they spent in postage $1,020.10.
Okay.
And then
So
Peter
Mike
said there was
asked-
another 300.
Okay, so Mike asked for 1,500, and we're saying it's 1,320 right now, right?
Well, but that's not leaving a cushion. The 300's an estimate. You don't know what it's gonna cost.
Everybody okay? Again, 406-220, it's the
I think if we
thousand,
spent 1,020 already.
Yeah.
And,
350 for the new postage.
you know, we feel that there's 350 known out there, we're at, you know, 1,370. So 1,500 is not within, you know,
An unrealistic range.
so I vote, I hear you, Bob.
No, I'm just trying to find the email, because we had exact numbers.
I'm okay with the
Bob, but I have exact numbers from the GL. I told you, I annotated this.
Mr.
Just,
Cumming, you okay with it?
I am.
Mr. Cassio?
I'm okay with the number.
Mr. Bruno, you okay with it?
Yeah.
In the
I
future,
have
you
it
know,
now.
we do this calendar every year. We should just have a calendar number and just break it down.
The next thing
Printing, postage,
Yep.
professional work, and then then you know.
Yep.
Then you know the number.
Then
You don't have to worry about
They
it.
did that.
Yeah, there was a spreadsheet.
Yeah, there
I
was.
thought the whole council.
I was asking why,
I'm
my
looking at
question was
postage.
why it went from 1,020 to 1,500? And the mayor answered that because we're gonna have more postage to get the sponsors to, a mailing to get them, and that's all I was asking. Next item is public affairs, holiday decorations, 801-20406-240.
that's zero. It's zero now.
Okay,
Yeah,
changed?
yes.
Okay. Skip that. Public affairs website, 801-20406-320 was 6,000 requested, 6,000 recommended. That's
That's the
pretty much-
website, basically.
Yep, that's the website hosting
Yeah,
fee.
that's pretty much what the note says, is what I just have in my notes, maintenance, hosting, and constant contact fees for the...
Is everybody okay with that?
website,
This is the township
The
website.
township
Yes.
website.
Do we need anything else to spruce it up?
I've spoken with the person about a redo of it. You know, she's going to start to look into costs and different formats.
I know it's
that will-
expensive to do, but,
Yeah, but
Okay.
we've tried ours now for a while, and it's
Yeah.
a little stale at
yeah,
this point.
agree.
Yeah,
Okay, so she'll come back to us and,
with,
okay.
yes.
801-20406-470, public affairs printing. Mr. Mayor, you were going to get us some more information on that?
Yes.
Printing to expended to date is 5,900.
Yeah, again, it was 5,900 for the calendar, and we have 3,100 for the various events, printing of programs for each event, and again, there's a lot of printing for Town Day.
So last year was just a citizen, it was on page 30, I think, if I remember. Let's just see. I think last
That
year's
is-
number was just citizen,
Correct.
and we asked if we wanted to do the, right? Is that right? It was just a citizen last year, Mary Ann?
Yes.
So we talked about doing the citizen or not doing the
Well,
citizen?
we
or
talked
doing-
about an abbreviated
Yeah.
thing of maybe just doing a
Quarterly
newspaper
flyers.
insert, right, maybe quarterly, just on one page showing what's been done and on the backside showing upcoming events. I believe that's what we spoke about.
Which I think is great. I mean, from our, everyone's effort in campaigning, I think that's an efficient way. It's a low-cost way to get things out.
Yeah, with the insert in the newspaper.
Yes.
Okay, so right now we did 6,000 round numbers for the calendar,
Correct.
and we're recommending another 3,000 for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, printing of programs for various events, and again, there's a lot of town day things. We have to put banners in here, even though we get the money back for them from the sponsors.
Do we, does that include, because we're going to do 3 concerts or 4 concerts?
4 concerts.
4 concerts, so we have to do printing surrounding those as well?
Correct.
It's fine.
Is everybody okay with 406, 470, gentlemen? Mr. Cumming?
Yes, sir.
Public Affairs Miscellaneous, 406, 500, 5,000 requested, 5,000 recommended. What was that, Mr. Mayor, you were supposed to get?
Yes. Again, my notes just have that they want to go high this year until they see if there are any other miscellaneous costs. Your sentiment has been spoken on the event coordinators, so I can promise you that that miscellaneous will not go to event coordinators, but they would like to enhance some of the programs like tree lighting and things like that, get in. I know one thing they mentioned is getting like the bell ringers who perform at tree lighting, things like that. So they asked for high miscellaneous this year, and then next year, when they see how it's spent, we can categorize it more specifically.
Well, excuse me, I have to interject.
Yes, please.
Currently, to date, 4,600 has been spent on just the deposits for the band. So I don't know where that's supposed to be. If you want it to be charged against Town Day, we can reclass it out of the reserve, but I don't see that anywhere in here, so we have to factor that in.
Well, you said 4,600 is just a deposit.
Already spent, yeah.
But that's only a deposit, you said.
Yeah,
So what's the rest of the cost?
It's probably about double.
The concerts in total for the 4 of them was about $12,000, but again, we get most, if not all, and maybe even a little profit from sponsors for the concerts.
Did we budget that?
I don't think anyone was aware that it had to be budgeted in somewhere because of the sponsor support. So if we want to add a new line item or group it.
But if what you just said is right, depending when we recoup it, you can't ever get into a negative situation.
you're gonna recoup that money.
So if you're going to recoup it, then we would deposit the sponsorship money
Right.
back in, and that would replenish it back. If you're
Correct.
saying it's going to zero out.
Yeah, it should
Yeah.
come very close or
Is
maybe
it in the
make a
revenue
profit.
sheet then?
What's that?
Is it in our revenue sheet? as
No, I don't
revenues?
think you have to do it that way. Lou May gave guidance on the calendar, and it didn't have to be done that way.
I would like to understanding you may not have the answer, I would like to understand how that flows through, because we have a calendar, we have sponsors for, which I think is great, that sponsors for the calendar, sponsors for Town Day, it really defrays the cost to the taxpayer, but I would like to understand how it flows through
Well, I
the
can,
financials.
sorry to interject, but the line below, calendar, currently is at a profit of $30.50. So technically, you could defund that because they took in more than they spent for the calendar, for that line. So
But how do we have income on the expense side?
according to Lou May, he gave guidance, and that's appropriate to do. If you're getting reimbursed from something, that's what my understanding is. That's how you can handle it. I know that he had input on how it was handled.
Okay.
That's totally different than what Ashley just sent out in her big email.
That's
With
different.
reserves and
It's not in a
appropriations.
reserve, it's different.
I'm just saying, it's different than what you sent out.
Gentlemen, are we okay with 406, 500, based on the discussion of all the concerts and everything in this item?
Yes.
Mr. Cummings, you yes?
I am.
My apologies, Michael.
Actually, the 5,000, Michael, is
Yeah.
not going to be the concerts, it's going to be everything else that Peter just talked about.
But you just said we encumbered 4,600.
I know, but the idea is that it's going to flow back in,
Okay.
and so the 5,000 is really not going to be geared for the bands, it's going to be geared for these other projects that Peter talked about, these enhancements to the tree lighting and so forth, correct?
To me, that's the other issue, is that, and I think you're highlighting not a problem, but if we are saying we approve 4,600 or whatever that band is, 12,000, and we take that in, we're still gonna have a line for 12,000 though.
I don't know if you have to have it at 12,000. I can find out, let's not, we have a little tight for time tonight, I can find that out.
Well, you
from-
need the revenue too, because the revenue is gonna offset this, right? Because you're gonna tax them for this, but the revenue is gonna come in the other side to offset.
Yeah, but to Mary Ann's point, that, this line, the calendar, we're budgeting 3,000.
But it's really zero.
Let's assume we actually approve it. So we're gonna ask for 3,000, we're gonna tax at 3,000. We have 3,000 in income, so where does that 3,000 go?
It's gonna come in revenue. So if that's the only item we had, we have 3,000, we have revenue of 3,000, there's no tax effect. But if we're not showing the revenues, then we're just taxing.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
And we're not,
Right.
but we're not showing the revenue.
Yeah,
You
but
are,
that's-
because you're showing, oh yeah, if you budget the 3,000, you're right, yeah.
It's something you're gonna tax
Right.
the
Yeah, same
taxpayer
thing with the
anyway.
bands.
So I think, to your point, we may be getting it back, but how it's flowing through the financials, I think will impact.
The tax.
You're right.
It has to
So
go
on
back to
the,
the
on the,
taxpayer.
on the calendar, you either have to add 3,000 into revenue or to reduce this to zero. And right now with the bands, you don't have them showing anywhere. So
I
if
think-
you add them in as an
Reduce to zero.
appropriation, you have to add them in as a revenue too. But I don't know how, if you can, under the technicality of what, revenues, if you can do that.
I mean, I would prefer to see it grossed on both sides, so there's transparency, so you see the expense and you see the revenue.
Well, yeah.
Correct.
I mean, we do, so it's like, it's the example with the special officers out in the street, right? We pay overtime, but then we get reimbursed for that. So we have expense and we have reimbursement.
That's out of a project, but yeah.
I
So
don't
if
care
you,
where
what you
it's
would
out of,
say
but
is.
we have an
so-
expense and we have a revenue.
So then I think what you have to do on the miscellaneous is up it to 17,000 to.
Well, I think we need to
include-
know what we have to do so that we do it right. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So it's just
Well, I wasn't involved with the
somebody
way
find out.
the calendar was handled, and,
All right.
and it defies what I would.
So just
but-
let us know, where we put it in placeholder. This way we budget, Peter, and then we get the money, and then,
Yeah.
it's all transparent, and we don't.
Okay, so I'll make notes.
Because
of that.
that'll also show you whether you got what you thought you were gonna spend, or you spent.
So I'm holding 406, 500, and 510 until we get more information.
And Lou May will be here tomorrow for the
Okay.
audit, so I can easily ask
Do you
him.
wanna put a separate line item, because you're gonna start doing concerts and things versus miscellaneous?
We'd
Because it's
like-
gonna be a big number.
We'd like to see how successful they are this year, and then maybe do it next year,
Okay.
separate line item.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm not a numbers guy, but if you're taking, we're hitting the taxpayer for 5,000, right? And we're taking 5,000 in. We're still hitting the taxpayer for 5,000, right? And then that 5,000 goes into surplus for the next year? Is that what happens?
Not
No,
if we show it in the revenue.
If we show, right now, if we don't show 5,000 in sponsor,
Right.
then we're gonna have 5,000 in expense. We're
Right.
gonna tax the taxpayer 5,000.
Right.
So we do hit them, and then when the sponsor money comes in, it goes into surplus. If we show the 5,000 expense and we show a line item, sponsor income,
Okay.
5,000,
Right.
Negative.
then we're not gonna hit the taxpayer. And that's the question. How do we
do we
reflect
do
it
it?
on
Okay.
the revenue side and show it on our, the expenses?
Okay.
The idea is not to create surplus funds.
Is that, as long as we're not doing
No.
that, because that's the problem we've got in for the longest
Either
time.
both sides or none,
Yes.
right.
Okay, all right, again, I'm not a numbers guy, but
for the same reason you want to flag, we'll do the calendar, I'll ask the
Yes.
same question. I think we're at zoning officer.
18, I don't have anything on page 18, gentlemen. I don't have anything on page 19.
Did you all have a number for the consulting non-legal for planning department? Because Sue said it was decided, but I thought had
What's the
undecided.
page?
What's the?
19, 801, 21, 180, 320. Did you have a number in there?
At 9,000.
We have
You
nine.
do, okay.
and we
Never mind,
approved
keep
9
going.
grand.
I don't want
Okay,
great
I don't have
discussion where
anything
it
on
doesn't need to
20,
be.
gentlemen.
No,
Oh, I have zoning officer.
For that, I thought we said we were gonna get a quote because of the master plan.
That's what I have, that we're gonna go do an RFP or Q.
Oh, I had it, but I had it approved at that amount.
I have a check mark also,
But we're
but
still getting
yes.
the,
We're still getting the quotes. We still want to go out for an
Okay.
RFP for the
I
master.
think I had contacted Ken about that, but
So we did approve, Mr. Ullman, the 9,000, but we did not.
Yes.
With the contingency that we're going to go out for an RFP for the master plan.
I think we were trying to understand where we were, and I contacted the former, yeah.
Next thing I have is on page 20.
Hold on just one second. When you say you contacted Ken, isn't the planning board do this?
Yes, but I think TNM was in the loop. What happened was, last year,
Yeah, got it.
no.
Yeah, no.
I think I forwarded an email where I pushed an
This
email.
was- And also the planning board approved someone on Statiel's staff to do it, but they never did it because they were waiting for COA.
Yep.
And then T&M had to do the housing
Element.
element of the master plan. I don't believe that was ever completed, so it never fed to Statiel's person to do it, and it hasn't been done.
That was a good nutshell.
Okay, moving on to page 20.
I listen occasionally.
I have
Only when we need
801, 80121, 185, 120, and
We're doing
130.
zoning.
Zoning?
Zoning officer you
Yes.
jumped on? Oh, is that what you're on now?
Yeah, that's the next item I have that's
Okay.
flagged.
There's no rice notice, right?
No. You should-
Are we okay with those numbers, gentlemen? For 80121, 185, 120, and 185, 130.
1.5%.
Well, the first one's 1.5%, and the other is 1.5% with an expansion of the role.
Which I am meeting with the person later in the week to talk about the expansion, so if you want to flag
So
it
let's flag it,
until.
yeah.
We'll flag
Well, if you don't, if it's not that person, you still want the expansion of the role, you're still gonna have to
Yes.
fund it.
We still want that, whether it's the same person or a
What's
different,
the expansion of the road?
to drive around
To be
town proactively.
Proactive versus reactive.
Correct.
Yeah, right, so for $3,000, we're gonna have somebody right around town to do something that should be doing it?
Watch what
I
you say.
think, well, let's discuss
let's
that.
hold off on that.
All right, so everybody okay with 185, 120, the zoning officer with the 1.5% raise?
I'm okay with it.
All right, we'll flag 185, 130 for closed.
Well, you can't,
Yeah.
there's no rice notice.
Well, yes, we'll have to rewrite that. Oh, no, I thought his name was on the list, wasn't it? No? Okay.
Not for this one.
I don't have anything on page 21, gentlemen. Nothing on 22 or 23. I have a flag, which we'll have to discuss. Police overtime, we were supposed to get more information, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, the chief is preparing something, and I also have a meeting with him later in the week to review his findings.
So we'll leave that flag
Please.
then?
Where's that?
On page 24, 80125 240 120.
Okay, can I just say, no disrespect to anybody here, we need to give the people who are preparing the budget like a week's notice, a week time to put everything together, so I'm a little bit concerned about things not being decided, so I don't know when the...
Well, we
when-
can't decide on things that we haven't, we've asked for
I understand, I
information.
don't know if, when the information is and when the next meeting, or when you figure out because Sue, we have to introduce by what date? Unless we have
It's
a,
ninth.
if we have
And
a
we have to have a
special meeting to
meeting on-
introduce, then
Well,
I
we have to
guess,
have a special meeting on the 9th to do that, because that's not a regular.
okay,
meeting.
so then the next council meeting, you could make the final decision on everything, and
If we
then,
have all the information.
yeah, okay, so I'm just kind of trying to, in my head, okay, so the plan is to have a special meeting on the 9th to introduce.
If needed, because right now, I don't think the council's ready to introduce at this point in time,
Oh, I know,
so.
okay.
Yeah, we just need the information that we've been asking
Yeah.
for, so once we get it, we plop it in, we make a decision, we vote, we go.
Moving on to page 25, I have 80125 240 193, which we reduced to 2,500, gentlemen. We had the discussion. Everybody okay with that, since we put that on public then?
Which one, 240, 193?
Yes, we
Special POs.
reduced it during closed session to $2,500, and everybody was in agreement with that.
That's what we did.
That's what my note,
Okay.
right, is that what you have, Sue?
Yep, that's what I have to.
Okay.
That was the, yeah.
I thought the mayor was going to speak to the chief, but,
No, not that one, that was.
yeah, I had that note, that's what Sue had
Well, I
on
have
her
one to
notes.
speak, but I also have the 2,500 written in there, though.
Okay, I think he wanted to double check the
All right,
mayor.
you know what?
Did
Maybe
you double,
check?
you want to double
Well,
check?
again, that's part of my meeting with him later in the week.
So we'll leave it flagged then?
Yeah, because
I
I had
thought
an
we had-
understanding with him at 10, and then
That's fine.
Marianne said at the last meeting he changed it, and I want to find out why, because I think we get a lot of bang for our buck out of the special, so.
And I think that's what the conversation was, that we put it
Yeah.
in, and then that comment was made,
Okay.
so.
All right, the next thing I have is on, nothing on 26 or 27. Again, on 28, we have to speak to the police chief again on those, because we had approved them, and then it was asked to be changed again for 801, 252, 48, 10, and 820.
The computer software?
Yes, we had raised the budget to get the new service contract, and
Yes.
then it was asked to be reduced again, so you were going to talk to him about
Again,
that.
that's something I'm covering in my
Okay.
meeting with him next week, this week.
8, 10, and 820, Mr.
That was
Bruno.
the scheduling software?
Yes.
Okay.
On page 29, I don't have anything.
The dispatching. Is that on your 29 or 30?
No. It's not, I don't think it's on 20.
I have it on 30.
Oh, it's on my,
the-
I have it more condensed.
Yeah, it's on
30 at the
page
top.
30, on the top, 801, 25, 250, 200.
Yeah, and again, I'll be talking with the chief. There's a question that he's researching with other towns, once you switch to the 12-hour shifts, having to do with, is there certain built-in overtime because they're working 36 hours, but then depending on how the shift goes. So he was going to reach out to some other towns that have done this already to get me an answer.
So we need an answer from him again on that.
Yeah.
I don't have anything on 31, gentlemen. On 32, I don't have anything.
Maybe it's your 33, the fire department, building
Building
maintenance.
maintenance.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that building maintenance, because they had asked that, we had said we were going to clean the fire
How did
department.
that work out?
Did that, I believe
They're not starting yet, I don't think. It's starting in the beginning of April.
but they do want it now, so we should put the
Yes,
funding
it's in
back
there.
in.
Well, what happened was, my note was that you had asked Mr. Chief Incetta to do a workup outside of that number, but what, I don't know that I've received, I don't know if the mayor has, but what I do have for you is I can tell you that at least some of the items that I think are charged at, the generator contract is $688 a year, the exterminator is $720, the cleaning is gonna be $2205, so it's $3,613 for those, plus usually what hits that line is like garage door repairs, and unfortunately, we seem to get them a couple times a year. We already had one for $675, so that brings it up to already to $4,300. It's at $8,000, it's, so.
Well, we moved 1,000 of building maintenance and supplies into that item, right? That's what we did?
Yeah, move it
To
down.
make it 8,000, that's what I have.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Are we
I
okay
think you
with
were
that?
looking for.
Well, originally they weren't gonna have the building cleaned by us. They
That's what
wanted,
my note says, letter to rescind cleaning, but now they've
Decided
decided
to do
that they can do it.
Yeah, but I thought you still wanted detail of it, so that kind of, that's the support I have so far
Okay,
for
so
part
that's
of the
fine.
number.
So we're okay with 8, right?
are we okay with 8, gentlemen?
8.
Yes.
Okay, so 801, 25, 265, 450 is 8,000,
Right.
correct? And 801, 25, 265, 420 is a zero delete. That's what I have.
Yes, moving
Okay.
down. to
Which
the
one
other
is zero
right.
delete?
The one above it.
The one above it,
420.
Right.
801,
Maintenance is-
Oh, I already deleted
yes,
it.
okay.
It's not on there.
I don't have anything on page 33.
I think we,
I don't have anything on 34, and on page 35, I have the DMF secretary, which we approved, which was here tonight. Are we gonna discuss that, gentlemen? Do we approve that? I have it still as a hold. 801, 26, 290, 130.
I think we approved it since she
Yep.
was here and open.
Yep,
Yes.
okay, that's
I
approved.
didn't think you talked her salary. I thought
Let's,
you just.
let's do a roll on.
Yeah, could we, 801, 26, 290, 130, increasing to 25 hours a week when she's available to do that, and going to rise to $15 an hour on 7/16/18 for 18/5/20. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
I'm fine.
Thank you, gentlemen. I have seasonal workers as the next thing, which we had to hold.
I spoke to Bill about that. he would like more people for leaf collection, and not to bring up a sore topic, but in my notes with him I have that he was turned down in the past by previous.
Yeah, but last year he had a lot of guys. He had, in fact, we hired one. We had 4 guys last year. Wait, we had, yeah, 4. So, I mean, in recent past, he's had a lot.
Only telling you what he...
Do you want to recommend the request change, Mr. Mayor, or you had 67,000 as your recommendation?
Again, that's what he requested, and then when I met with him, you know, he said he could use more for leaf collection. So I took him at his word for that. I didn't press him any further.
Well, I had a conversation with him. He said 4 is ideal of current permanent level. If you hire one, he can reduce his seasonal. That number right there was based on the 2017 hours times $15 an hour. I was working the numbers another way because we just recently, we took them on earlier than we usually do because of the branches. So I had broken it down to 42 weeks, which from the second week in March to the second week in December for 3 people, and then 38 weeks for 1. And that number, I think the 67 works. Could even be a little light.
So, I know we call them seasonal, but if they're gonna be here 42 weeks,
How's that seasonal?
You have to call them seasonal, there's a reason for it. It's a
I agree with you, Ms. Goldman. I've said the same.
term
Yeah,
In the
in municipal
collective bargaining
employment.
agreement?
No, just the way you,
Label.
for benefits and so forth.
Are we okay with the $67,000 number, Mr. Mayor, or do you want a higher number based on your discussion with Mr.?
No, I mean,
Waller?
he told me he was looking for 67. He said, you know, it was turned down in the past and they could use more for leaves. So based on that, I'm going to go with what he requested.
and just to summarize, Mary Ann, the 3 at 42 and 1 at 38 comes close to this?
Yeah, I think because they've blended rates, most of them are at 15, the newer guys less, because the other guys had to earn that over the years, so at the blended rate.
Okay. Are we okay with that, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
All right, moving on. I don't have anything on 36.
I'm sorry, just back
Go
to
ahead.
overtime. So I'm sure we've burnt some overtime
Yeah,
for, so I'm back up to 290, 120. I'm sure we've burnt some overtime with the 4 storms in March.
I can tell you the actual as of they didn't include the most recent storm. It was 13,800. I'm looking at it, so I'm looking at it in terms of actual. I'll reevaluate this for the next meeting to see, because we'll have the actuals in.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. I don't have anything on 36 or on 37. I have,
35, I'm sorry, 290, 190, where do we end up with that? We were good?
which one?
290, 190, DMF superintendent?
That one, we were on hold until the mayor got back to us
So
on
it's still on
that.
hold?
Yeah.
Oh, I had you with that, it was decided.
No, but then we had the additional discussion of the whole meeting that you and the
I don't
mayor-
think that number's gonna change. I think there was just general,
Well, it is going to change based on Mr. Pollard's. Let's leave it at that.
okay.
So we're saying it's flagged again?
Yes.
I'm sorry, which one?
Wait a
I
second.
290,
Hold on,
190.
hold on.
I thought the role would warrant
But
that number.
we were supposed to find out about the role.
that.
Let's not discuss anymore.
Well,
Let's,
no, I think we're going to find out about the person in the role,
But the number has to be there, yeah.
Right.
but whoever it is going to get paid, unless I'm misunderstanding.
can we just flag it till,
Okay?
I don't want to get in trouble by saying something that,
Better safe than sorry.
All right.
You did already approve it.
Yeah,
It's
we
been
already
approved.
did it.
Has
It's
it been
already been
approved?
We
voted
approved
on.
it, but we
yeah, but then we got
That's
more
how we had-
information
How it's
later
gonna be
on.
It was
separated
never
out.
flagged though.
It was not flagged.
Okay, well,
But he is right.
I'd like to make a motion to flag it then,
Go
gentlemen.
back and flag it?
Yeah, to 290, 190,
He's
I'd like
raised
to
for
flag.
tonight,
No.
Yes.
Oh, he is raised for tonight?
Yes.
Okay,
but we're at 10 after 9.
okay. 36, I don't have anything, gentlemen. 37, I have Sign expense?
Yes, I have information, I'll talk quickly.
Okay.
Each stop sign cost just under $59. The police have reported that there are 187 signs in the township. If you replace all and put them on the existing pole, the cost is $11,006.82. I don't think we could actually handle doing all of them in a year. So you could figure you do a third, a half, whatever you want to do.
Well, how much is it with posts? Because they can't go on the posts around now.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I thought it was just the sign.
We want to get a new post and everything.
No, he said that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have to be at a certain height. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Breakaways.
They need breakaways, they need
Reflective poles.
reflected poles, yeah, on bad
Okay.
visibility.
So,
So if we do half of them, gentlemen,
or if you conservatively say it's $100.
Why don't you leave a number there, and that will include
the posts
pole.
and the
Yeah.
reflector.
I mean, it's not a huge number.
So put $12,000
Because
there,
you know, the
gentlemen?
poles are not super expensive.
No, but they
I don't
are an
think.
expense, Mr.
Yeah, of
Levy.
course it's an expense. So I would say leave it there.
Leave
and-
6,500 there or make it 12,000?
6,500 and contemplate 3,500 for 89 missing street signs.
Oh, yeah, so we're still, so we want to make it 10,000, gentlemen? Are you okay with that?
I'd raise it to 10.
Mr. Mayor, you okay with
I would
10,000?
change my
And we'll try to
recommendation.
replace half the stop signs
Yeah.
this year and half the stop signs in 2019?
So Mayor, you're changing your recommendation to 10?
10, yes, please.
Is that too, I mean, realistically, is that too aggressive? I don't know how long
I
it
don't know
takes
why
to.
it would be too aggressive.
I don't
It's
know
not
how
aggressive.
No?
Who's going to do it?
Well, 3,500 additional isn't going to get you half the street, I mean, just the stop signs themselves is going to be 5,500.
Well, we have the 3,500 plus 3,000, right?
Yeah, so I guess that's 9, yeah, it gives
Right.
you a cushion, okay. If you assume the 3,000 is not for
Yeah.
anything else but your stop signs and your street signs, because they do need other signs.
And maybe we could do it by
District, like we said, it's voting districts and.
whatever that is, but
Okay,
it's clear.
but I just want to make sure that you understand, what you just budgeted is not going to get you half the town of stop signs.
Do you want, can we do 15,000, gentlemen?
Okay.
Who's going to do it?
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough manpower at DMS.
You got seasonal workers.
You
Yeah.
need 2 guys, and you need that horrible thing that's the pipe
Yep.
that you sling down on the
The
pole.
the pipe that's
Well, it's
been
the
around
pipe
forever.
that you,
Yeah, sure.
you bang the pole in.
John,
It's a lot of work.
Mr. Mayor, would you be comfortable making that 15,000 so we can get half the town done?
I don't know that they're going to be able to
Yeah,
tackle
that's
that
my
work.
concern.
If they're not gonna knock it out, I don't
Yeah.
wanna hit the
Leave it at 10.
taxpayer again
All
this
right,
year.
then
or
leave
next
it
year.
at
I mean, I could
Leave
either
it at
do
10?
10
Well, if you have 4
12.
zones, you try to do 1 zone every
15,
year.
I think's a little aggressive, but I could do 12 if,
So just to back
Now,
up.
these $3,500 in street signs, I've heard about these for years.
No, well, actually, last
This is a
year,
new one? Well,
last year, there was a long list, and then we were trying to figure out, because the budget was not, there was no budget for this. So I talked to the bonding attorney, I said, can we do the streets that we improved? And he said, yes.
Yes.
So we did those, and that was about 82 signs. So these 89 are the ones on top of the
Where did we do
82.
82 signs?
I can give you the list, all the roads we paved for
Like,
the last
remember
4
when we
years.
go out to do the roads, we're gonna ask the contractor to supply the stop signs.
Yeah, but I know like Colonial was just paved and that's just
Well,
signs are
I know it
still
wasn't
old.
done in the last,
Yeah.
No,
go-round,
it's
but
whatever
this
was-
go-round, we're talking about,
Whatever was missing, not
not stop
replacing.
signs.
It was whatever was missing. We had that many missing, we had that many missing signs.
Missing signs.
Missing signs, we had that many missing.
I'm saying the
So are they
RFQ
covered?
for the road program, we're gonna ask them to include that in their price,
Yes.
right, Mary Ann?
correct.
So then,
Okay.
you could probably, whatever roads we're doing,
Yeah, well,
we can reduce
but it's
it a little
minimal, yeah,
bit.
it's not that
But
bad.
are we going to be able to do some in these figures that we're talking?
Yes, we're gonna do
There
street
was
stop
quite a-
signs, yeah.
So,
No, besides the stop.
so
street signs.
3,500 for missing street signs.
Yep. For 89 missing street signs, Mr. Ullman.
Okay. And then,
We had 3,000 for signs as needed.
so let's forget signs as needed. They're 59 plus another 40 for a pole.
Probably 100
So let's
apiece.
say 100 a pop. And how many do we need?
189, correct, Mary Ann? You said?
187.
187.
So we're not
Well,
doing,
But
And,
I'm sorry,
but I don't think we have the manpower like the mayor's saying to put
Well, do you wanna-
189.
I would maybe be comfortable doing 13.5, and that way it's 3,500 for the missing and another 10 grand
For
for
the
the
stop and whatever
miscellaneous.
we need.
Is
Is everybody okay with that?
I'm fine with that. we're not going to do the welcome sign?
That's in the
That's in a different
capital.
line item.
Okay.
Yes, we moved it.
That's capital.
So 801-26290, 380, the mayor is comfortable with recommend of
They're gonna know they're
13,000.
in Washington Township, Mike, once they see all these nice stop
That's
signs.
right.
We're in Washington Township, look at all those stop signs, yeah. So let's save our money.
The town with the signs.
Well, they're not going to be comfortable because every other town has them. We're behind the eight ball, Mr. Cassia.
13.5 is good.
They
They'll
got some
think they're
plywood and some
lost.
paint, don't worry about it.
Yes.
All right, the next,
What's
Boys
the
are up to
difference
it.
between this and the big signs in capital and this not in capital?
Because,
The useful life is longer on this, right?
no, I don't think, and I think the actual cost doesn't justify it being in capital.
What's the cost of capital? What's our limit?
I'm not sure. I think our capitalization and the footnotes to the financial statements is 5,000.
Right, so we're spending how much for the stop signs, did we say?
10,000.
Yeah, but I don't know that you look at it as one project. I mean, do you want to really?
We don't
Well,
have a
it's up to
place
you.
to
You don't want
store
you don't want to pay
$10,000 worth of-
stop signs over
No,
20
I'm
years.
asking the question, this is not capital, but the other signs are capital. What's the difference?
The other one's more, it's like more of a permanent fixture, it's ornamental. I don't know what the difference is, but
Ornamental.
we did run it by,
Capital is useful life.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
what's the
know.
useful life of signs? So that's those signs and these signs.
Wow, one's there for
you know,
25 years, so it's a pretty long time.
Well, I'm saying, so maybe we can just get clarification, put the number in and clarify.
No, I mean, the question was raised, and it was one of these that it could go either way with the welcome to signs.
Okay. I don't have anything on page 36, gentlemen, or 37. Is that correct? I don't have anything on 38 or 39. I have a hold for the salt and brine truck, which Mr. Lawler was supposed to get back to us.
He himself and the workers there are not a big fan of brine. So they'd like to leave this at 0. And you know, I'm certainly not in a position to second guess them because it's not an area that I have expertise in. But I spoke to them again since we flagged it, and they're not in favor of brine.
What is their reasoning, Mr. Mayor?
They just don't think it benefits enough when they're out plowing.
And if I can add, Mr. Lawler was at a class for his public works, and he said everybody in the class was saying that they didn't think that brine was effective. That being said, it can be taken out of the snow plowing reserve. So I thought we zeroed this out. My note says flag salt to be paid out of reserve.
Okay.
And anything expenses. I do know that, I don't know what happened with it, but there quotes were obtained for the cost of repairing the brine truck.
And it wasn't that much. He said it was
Yeah,
Home Depot
yeah,
parts
yeah.
is what he told us.
I will tell you that, if you wanna, I can
Right.
see it,
Yes.
I can see about reclassing it, but I will tell you that they spent $600 on calcium, whatever, for the sidewalks already, so, you can still do 0, and it'll just show as an over expenditure under the control account, but,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm still not sold with their, response.
I'm going to forward it.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I thought I did previously, but.
Yeah, he read it, Mike. Mike read it.
Oh, okay. So.
But I guess the question is whether we do it or we don't. I mean,
I don't think it has to be
Peter,
funded here.
no, but I think it comes down to whether, as the mayor, whether you say you want to brine the streets or not brine the streets. I mean, we're suggesting it, either you do it or you don't.
Well, I go based on what the people that are supposed to be in the know tell me. I don't have the direct experience in brine.
No, I understand that. So if it's no, it's no. I mean, it doesn't.
That's fine. We'll leave it out.
I would agree with Pete. I mean, based on Bill's comment, I know
Okay.
you have an opinion, Mike.
I do,
You
and
have plenty of experience,
I just
you know.
don't agree with it, but we'll leave it at that. The next thing I have is DMF street sweeping. We were supposed to get more information on 292000.
Yes, we're still waiting for prices from the county, Ridgewood, and I believe Fairlawn.
Yeah, I haven't been successful in getting my.
But again,
work.
I would leave it, I would, ask
Leave it
that
as
it
a
be
whole?
funded.
Everybody is watching from
because,
Fairlawn, we want a price.
we all agree that the streets should be swept, and
Can we stop there for tonight, gentlemen, so we can go into close, because I know the mayor has to leave at 9:30? If that's okay with everybody? We'll stop at page,
Can we come out of closed and go through this again too? and just,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
and go through it, and then if there's questions, we go back to the mayor, and, or, you know.
Yeah, we could do that. If everybody's okay with that?
I'd like to try and get as much done for me.
That's fine,
from
Mr.
a
Bruno.
selfish standpoint.
Let me just give Ricky the heads up.
So we are going to come back.
Yes.
I make a motion to go into closed with the understanding that we are going to come back into public to continue.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Bruno?
Yes.
Councilman Casio?
Yes.
Councilman Cumming?
Yes.
Councilman Ullman?
Yes.
Council President DeSena?
Yes.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2018 budget meeting. We are on page 40, gentlemen. Recycling leaf disposal fees. I have 801-26305-220.
Hold on, hang on, sorry. Okay. Where are you?
That is one of the items.
Well, that's where we're going to look for renting the tub grinder.
Where are we? I'm sorry. Which number?
No, we kept that amount, but that's
Oh,
a
we kept that,
question.
okay.
That can, yeah.
The amount's fine.
All right, so the next thing I have is DMF cleaning services. We went up to 32,000, is that correct, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah. and
But did that include the Clark Field and the...
Firehouse.
And the firehouse and all that?
Firehouse was in the firehouse line.
But I remember we had an issue with doing the Clark Field because you thought it was too high?
That's a different line.
Oh, okay.
You
So
sent-
32...
Did you send the contract, Marianne? But
What's that?
Did you send us a contract? on
Yes.
that?
What, for the cleaning service?
Yeah.
It's not a contract.
No,
Yeah, it was a... Yeah.
Was it like a
It
proposal?
specifically
very loose
says it's a
proposal?
month to month.
Okay.
All right, I don't have anything on page 41.
So the 32,000 is approved for that line, I'm sorry, right?
Yeah.
450?
We had approved it.
Okay, got it.
Can you put the mic back on, Mary Ann, please?
Oh, sorry. I think the next thing is, you're all the way in the recreation wrestling.
Yeah, 43, 44, 44, 45, I don't have anything.
It was 801, 28, 370, 404.
Page 46.
Yes, wrestling uniforms was a zero delete. That was, 404 was a zero delete.
No, wait.
Oh, then I had hold, okay.
No. Okay, so, from the mayor, I heard that, Mr. Toomey has talked to, they want to host the program since we have more participants. I think the numbers were something like 80, we have 80% of the participants. So therefore, it makes sense for us to be running the
But
program.
they just bought new
Who cares how many
singlets.
we have?
Well, I'm just,
It's held in the same venue.
yeah, it's the same venues.
Well, I'm just saying that,
Westwood
I'm
just
just
spent-
relating, don't shoot the messenger.
Well,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Westwood just bought
I
new
didn't mean to
singlets
make
for all
you-
the boys with the money that we weren't giving, that wasn't being put back into the program last year. So they got all new, all new singlets. They got some new equipment. All the Washington Township rec equipment has already been brought over to the community center in Westwood. So what is the logistics of bringing this back? I mean, is it really worth just to put our name on it to bring it back?
I don't know.
I thought we were going to do it next year.
I thought the mayor had talked about us.
Well, I'm just relating, again, don't shoot the messenger, that's the same explanation for the league fees and the trophies.
I would zero delete them. Listen, I went through the program, I coached the program, but right now I think at this point, they're
How do
in
you
better-
take it back?
Huh?
How do you take it back?
They're in better hands over there. They're not gonna have any issues.
I agree. If,
That's just my opinion.
If the people are happy,
Gentlemen, so
residents
what are we
happy.
talking about? 404, and what was the other item, a line item
I
for?
guess you have to make a motion.
404, zero delete,
What was the next
801,
one?
28370, 404.
Well, there's no
There's no
recommendation,
recommended
so it's-
request anyway,
Just
Mary
check
Ann, on
it
that
off.
item.
You sure there's not?
404, I have zero recommended request.
No, he had 2,500.
2,500.
I make a motion to make that 404 zero. Is everybody okay with that?
You're talking.
Second.
Uniforms and safety equipment?
Yeah.
What else, what other wrestling is?
No, you gotta do it one at a time, don't you, Sue?
I think so. You should do one at a
So
time.
404 made a motion, I second. You want to take a roll call, or do we don't have to?
No.
We just have to say yes,
Yeah.
yes,
No.
yes. No?
Everybody, you in agreement?
Okay.
Bring it to zero, yes.
Okay, what's the other wrestling one we had, Mary Ann?
I have page 47.
48, it's on page 488, 801, 28370, 784.
It's a
48?
$3,000 recommendation.
I don't have any.
It's 784, I have zero there, but it was a
It
3,000.
is 3,000 because
He
he
changed- okay, they changed.
subsequently changed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a version with it.
Gentlemen, I make a motion that 784 becomes zero.
So he recommended 3?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm okay with reducing.
Me too.
All right,
Agreed.
Mr. Allman, Mr. Cumming?
Okay.
All right, the next thing I have is trophies. What was there, Mary Ann, for
He didn't have
797?
anything, actually, it was 0.
So I recommend that
It's 0.
remain
Keep going.
0.
Yep.
And not, just to be sure, not funding this doesn't prevent Township
No.
No.
No, they still
children
register
from-
on Community Pass with
Okay.
Westwood, so.
Yeah, this was thinking about.
But before
This was to bring it all back.
Before we move forward, there was a gap in, I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the wrestling, on page 45, maybe 46 on yours, for lacrosse venue and lights. Again, that was a title I attributed it to because of what it had been used for, I think. Well, I'm not sure if I did.
What's the budget?
801, 228, 370, 406.
Yep, that was going to become a venue rental for lacrosse, yes.
So it's
Hold on.
it's currently 3,000. I think the increase recommend is now 5,000.
So we're going to hold that until the mayor gets us more information on that, or do you have the information?
Well, the
Patty?
information is, they want 5,000 and they want to change it to rent,
Yeah, but
venue
again, how many
rental.
nights, how many hours?
Yeah, we had asked for
What's,
what the,
That's, I don't have that.
okay, so
can't
we'll
just-
hold that until we get more
Just put
information.
numbers in, because we want to put numbers.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a hold. Okay.
You know, it's-
The next thing I have is Parks Building Maintenance, which is, I guess, the maintenance of Memorial Field on page 49.
Well, no, you had the seniors thing, isn't that?
Oh, Director of Senior Affairs went
Well,
into.
you can't create a director position, but you could create an associate or an advisor. However, the mayor spoke to Jim Joyce and Jim Dugan, and they don't feel they need one. They feel like they have the lines of communication
That's what I
already.
had asked, whether they wanted to do it or not.
What's that?
So I had asked the question with Jim
Yeah.
Joyce, you know.
Well, I think we have other people in town that would be more than interested in doing it. I think it's.
Yeah, but it's,
No, he's a
basically
senior.
is, he's already, like, they already have the
Okay.
communication.
and
I don't know what that person
Veteran
would-
Affairs. What about Veteran Affairs?
That's different. You could do that, I guess.
No, Bill Thompson can help us with that.
That's what we
Yeah.
had.
Well, you know, it's
why don't you put it
almost
for next
two
year?
very similar populations, for lack of a better term,
Right.
you know? You have your veterans and you have your seniors, which most are one and the same. I
So-
thought it would be, a good mix.
So bring it up for next year, if they're not interested, because they feel the representation is fine, so.
Who represents them on the basis of the township?
What does that mean?
Who represents them? Anyone can say, I represent the seniors.
Well, he's the president of the seniors. He's not just representing them, he
He's
runs the
elected.
seniors,
Yeah.
isn't he?
He's elected, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Joyce.
Yeah.
And they
he's
have
the
a
president of the
treasurer, they have a
seniors.
secretary.
Yeah.
They have business meetings once a month.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's,
Okay.
you know, all right.
So,
I mean, you
I
could-
I guess, is there a gap that you're trying to address?
Yes.
The gap I'm trying to address is to have some cohesion with the township. Right now, we fund them, but they're really a separate organization. I like to have someone that we can talk to and oversee. If they need more stuff, they can come to us.
Like I want somebody to say, hey, we need the buses more days. We need, you know.
Well, they do that, they come to us. They,
Yeah, but we don't hear about it. Like, you know, like we want one
You know, there's a-
person to be responsible for that. And that's where, you know, Dr. Cassio and I come up with this is.
I think it's a good idea. And then the veterans are not represented in the town at all. And I think they deserve, for their service, someone to watch out and give them some opportunities to do whatever they would like to do. I think it's important. Our seniors are I mean, look at all the money we spend on the youth, okay? We spend a ton of money. By giving a little bit more to the seniors and the veterans, I don't think it's a big ask. And to have someone, you know, officially represent them for their ask is really nothing.
I think the issue you're gonna have is you're gonna have, you know, Joe, who's gonna represent the seniors, and then you have someone who's the president who represents the seniors. So you're gonna have a conflict of interest, I think,
Well,
ultimately.
it's not, it wouldn't be, I mean,
Yeah,
if they
well,
want to
you're gonna-
hire if we want to, or if the mayor wants to appoint Mr. Dugan as such, okay, I have no problem with that.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think we should do it for next year because you have people that are representing the seniors and
Question.
and the people, so that's my
Yes.
thought process.
Isn't there
think we could use a
something in the
veterans
ordinance on the number of
director.
directors you can have?
Should have Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, you can't make a
He's-
director,
he's
you have to call it something else. It's
Isn't
like
he the
advisor.
president of Veteran Affairs for Jersey?
He's the
He's got a big title.
Veteran, VFW.
VFW, he's the commandant.
We can create a department, we can create a director for the council. We have the authority under Faulkner to do that.
I thought you were limited on how.
No, the mayor is limited, but we're not.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anyway, that was my opinion, so.
Correct, Mr. Scasio?
I'm not 100% sure, but I'll look into it.
Have your people call my people.
I'll look into it.
All right, so moving on, I had a hold for Parks Building Maintenance, which was the restroom at Clark and Memorial.
Yeah, actually, today, the proposal by the prior vendor came in, and it was 7 days a week, which I was surprised. I made a copy of it, and the copy was given to, I don't know, this happens, taken off the copier and handed out, and when I went to look for it, it was after hours, and it's not there. So I can't tell you the number. I will tell you this number is enough, but I know you were concerned about switching out to a different company, and it's a big jump to do the new company.
But is the old company licensed and bonded?
I don't know about licensing. I don't know they have to, what do you mean licensed?
Well, I know the new company we hired is bonded and.
Yeah, I know they're bonded, I know.
Is the old,
Bonded is
yeah,
one thing,
yeah.
licensed or not.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, it's a
sure.
little bit different when it's in a field house
Well, I think
as opposed to.
they're next to our children. I'd like back.
Oh, no, they're not in when the kids are there.
Oh, well, you don't know that.
There are kids there all the
There
time.
are kids there all the time.
I know, but no, that's not, the issue with the bonding for the current place is because they're in the building when no one else is here.
Yeah, but they're also at
there's
our,
valuables.
they're at our parks during nighttime when there's still children there in the parks.
Okay.
And I think they should be bonded and have background checks done, just like, so what we're saying is, it's okay for them to have to be bonded because they're in an empty building, but they're in our parks with our children, let's not worry about it.
I didn't realize they were there at the same time as the children.
Oh, they were all.
If I had known that, it would have been a
That's why I
different
said we
story.
need to know, we need to
No.
have somebody bonded. That's why I was upset with the past practice to begin with, so.
Well, then you need a contract
Well, she's gonna
with the
get that,
cleaning
yeah.
services that says you're bonded, and they have to guarantee that they did.
Well, the new one we
security
hired
checks.
for the building and everything is bonded, right?
They have to guarantee they did the security checks.
I
on the
believe the
people.
police
They did,
department
the
did.
police department did.
They did it on the people that they
Yeah,
hired?
they weren't allowed to start until it was
Yeah,
done.
okay, good.
that was one of the requirements.
What type of background check did they do? Do you know, Mary Ann? Was that a state or through the?
No, they fingerprinted them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Mr. Scuderi said they were all checked, like Mary Ann said, before they were able to come into the premises.
Excellent.
So I think we need that number then, Mary Ann, because if
Well,
unless the
it's-
other company's bonded and.
No,
they're
well, I'll
willing-
tell you right now, you know the number. See the note, oh, you don't have it? The
No, I
quote? Oh, see, you don't have the updated version. Would be, new company is $845 a week for 6 days a week, which is a lot of coin. It's a big amount of money.
If you see how disgusting they are now, it's not a
Okay,
big
so how many weeks do you think they need a baseball season starting now?
Well, basically they open, from when I've lived in town for 22 years, those restrooms get opened early April and they're closed for November. Because it's not just, it's when water,
June,
yes.
July, August.
So they're
So
open
Memorial-
7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
7 months. It's not a straight 4 weeks, so let's, some of the months
30
have
weeks.
5.
Well,
Yeah,
you
say
could-
30
you said
weeks.
something like 28 weeks the last time, and then you had just.
Let's say
left it every
30
day.
weeks.
Yeah, 30 weeks.
It's gonna be a big nut.
It is what it is. They're disgusting.
$25,000. That's a lot of money.
And what is that, what's your
That's 6
calculation?
days a week for 40 weeks.
That's a lot of money.
Bob, if you went in there right now.
30 weeks, 30
Yeah,
weeks.
30.
Well, part of the problem is you have people that don't clean. We pay people here to do the building, and it's the same thing. You come in here, it's a disaster. They don't
But now
clean.
and what they're doing
Well,
in the
you
building,
wanna-
I've been told is very
You
good,
want to do
right?
it 6 days a week? Good.
You have to do it 6 days a week because it's
can't
it's
do it
used every
4?
week. It's used every day. There's parents there, I don't know if you've ever seen, Clark.
Oh, I've seen it.
Clark, there's parents there 7 days a week from sun up to sundown.
Yeah, it's a great playground for kids.
Oh, yeah.
So my question would be, at that rate,
Do we hire somebody?
exactly, I
Said it
mean,
last time.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, between those two numbers.
Between the two numbers, you could hire a full-time person.
And that's the,
But the problem with hiring a full-time person, who does it on the weekends? Because, you know, they're working like a ridiculous, you know, schedule then.
Well, I mean,
Seasonal.
well, maybe you have them do it, you know, they're off Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, Saturday.
They work Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah, so.
I mean, but that number.
Well, that number, you start entering a full-time position, yeah. Yeah, between that and the other, and this building, right, you're at,
I don't know, you know, I don't know if one person can do everything, the entire town, but if we're considering that for the fields, and the firehouse is an additional number,
well, the firehouse is included in this one, right?
No.
Oh, that was a different number, okay.
you know.
No, it was only, it was 22 for 9 months,
I mean,
2,200.
that's a lot of coin.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, you know, again, I go back to, how do they get so dirty?
Well, just the usage alone, I mean, you know.
Well, it gets dirty because the kids got stuff on their cleats to
Yeah.
play, and that's just really what entails.
I mean, right now, if you went in there and power washed those rooms out, Mike,
Be dirty tomorrow.
no, it'd be clean, because I mean, it's just years of neglect that.
Well, I had them power wash them a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
a couple years ago you did, yeah.
Yeah, but if you made every once a month, they have to go in and power wash them and leave the existing. Try that as a stopgap, at least for a year. You could.
It is a lot of fun.
It's just something we've neglected for years, and it's very,
And what fields are that for? What's that
Clark
for?
and Memorial, those are the only ones with permanent facilities. The other ones are porta potties.
And those get serviced by the rental company?
Yes.
yes.
Close them down. More porta potties.
No, I don't think you do that.
No, you don't want to do that
Just
for the
think-
rec
just think
program.
it's
I'm
a-
just saying, you know, you talk about saving a dollar. That
That's
would-
even worse.
That's even worse, Steve. Imagine Memorial Field in the middle of the heat
boy.
during summer rec with porta potties there. Oh,
Fragrant.
Well, you know, which way's the wind blowing, you'll know.
Well, either way, never mind.
So,
I'm getting
I was
punchy.
gonna say,
You know
you're
what-
punching.
I got 10 more minutes,
Had to turn
Mary,
it
hold
off.
on.
well, I got a couple pages left before
All
we
right,
lose
let's
it.
go.
Okay.
so what are we gonna do?
That was my.
What was your number, Mary Ann? What should this
Oh.
have to be? I'm sorry.
25,000? I mean,
I think
can
you
you?
need to get a new company to look at the bathrooms only, then get the other quotes, you know, it's not working.
Okay.
That's just way out.
Yeah,
How-
maybe they're
how
doing
many-
too much, and they're small rooms. I
They
mean, they're
gotta
not
rip through
that.
those bathrooms and, you know, if they do them right within an hour.
I
then-
do believe, now that I think about it, I think that number was given to us before he had the rest of the contract, and he
So
did
maybe we
tell
can
me that
renegotiate that?
he could, but well, there's a big difference between 9 and 25.
Well, 9 just didn't cut it. I mean, that's just, you know, we can't compare. We're comparing apples to you know, grapefruits here. It's
Well, you're paying money for people that don't clean.
correct.
So
So
if
you
you
can't
pay
compare
money
the
that
9.
people-
Yeah, but the
do-
9 isn't
would it-
just the cleaning, it's
No,
other
but I'm
stuff.
saying, if you get somebody that wants to do the business.
What else is in there?
I think that's like the stuff we did at Clark, like repairing a little bit. I don't know that the mold came out of there, the mold remediation.
So maybe you
came
can
out of
just check for us, new pricing.
Yeah, if we get a
Okay.
new
Please.
price.
Thank you.
The next thing I have is, we're gonna have to wait for Mr. Cumming to get us another, $377,200 for the resurfacing of Memorial Field, right? You're still working on that. Do we have a finalized number on that, or?
We're gonna grow turf.
I know, but we
We're
need,
not sodding. You said resurfacing.
well, that's what the item says, so.
I'm sorry.
So I
We got
guess,
another quote coming in.
yeah, so you're still not prepared to give us a number on this, is what I'm saying.
What is the number? We're looking-
45,000,
Page 50.
377,200.
But
It's gonna come in close to that.
I mean, but what's the plan for the whole field?
We want to, I guess,
Do we have
the
a
mayor
plan?
had promised us, like, we were going to prepare a whole thing saying, we're going to aerate this, we're going to fertilize it
Yes.
this many times,
Yes.
we're going to
Yes.
spot seed
Yes.
here,
Two
we're going to
quotes are
overseed,
coming in
yes, so
to
you're not ready,
provide that.
yeah, so we
I
need
don't
to
have
keep
the
that,
second
yeah.
quote yet. It's being approved.
It's gotta be coordinated to the rest of the fields, get the people off the fields, et cetera, et
Correct.
cetera. So-
Yes, we had a meeting with Mr. Toomey last Thursday.
Okay,
So the next two things I have on page
Just
51,
about that.
okay.
Just, we didn't get the soil test back, did we?
No. They've just been sent off this week. Unfortunately, the snow delayed them
Yes.
an extra 3.5 days. Very disappointed, but, because we worked so hard to get them, but.
Okay.
It is what it is.
I guess the next two items I have is holiday celebrations and remembrances and Town Day.
And those were going to be, I think the question was whether or not,
We need a reserve set up for those so they come back into the budget,
well,
right?
we have that. We have, there's a revenue line for 45,000 to match these, but then Bob had a concern about whether that's the way to do it. In Ashley's commentary, she said when you pull from a reserve, you do it as we treated it, or alternatively, you don't put it in the budget and you just take it out of the reserve. However, the risk of that is that you have a hole in your budget going forward, especially for $45,000. What you can do this year is do what we're doing, and then with your revenues, also put the sponsorships into Myrna and don't throw them into the reserve, so you avoid that situation. So you are effectively using your reserve.
And we're not taxing the
And
people.
not taxing the people for it.
So it goes right into the reserve.
Correct.
No, the
it's gonna
money
go to
does
Myrna.
not, we're
gonna stop the
stopping the
reserves
reserve. You're gonna
because you have
send
money
it
in the
into
reserves
Myrna
already.
when you get sponsorship. Myrna is municipal receipts not anticipated.
Gotcha.
So there's 45,000 in revenue right now, and that
Yes.
should go against 45 of
Yes.
expenses per Ashley.
Yes.
If we do it that way, so that's fine.
All right. So that's what we're gonna do. So those two items, are we okay with 18 and 22?
Yeah, if it's gonna be done that way, I'm okay with it.
Now, my question is the 22,000 for Town Day.
23, 22. What's that?
Marianne, the 22,000 for Town Day,
Yes.
what are we getting for $22,000?
Well, let's look at
Because we
last year.
charge the residents for everything at Town Day.
Hold on.
This is not net of the
This is like
intermediate.
you also spend a fair amount on the tents, the setup, all that stuff.
the
The
rentals.
bouncy rides and so forth. Let's go to the
No, but what I'm saying
detail.
is the bouncy rides aren't free. You have to buy a wristband.
No, okay, what I'm just saying, but I'm saying you have
don't see the revenues.
you have the,
You don't see the revenues here.
you don't see the revenues
You just see
coming.
what we pay,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
and this is what's been sitting 84,000 for 5 years.
But then, I mean, here, it's on page 126.
Right, yeah.
125.
125, yeah.
Petting zoo, prizes, caricature, photo booth, face painters.
And it's really tent rentals, Town Day, you know.
Your tent rentals and the rides are the biggest.
But you don't see the revenue here, so.
No, you see it in the trust.
So the tents were 6K, the rides were about 6K.
That's 12.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Photo booth was 1,000. 1,350 for face painting. No, the tents were more than that, Mike, because we had a $3,000 tent rental deposit.
You know, I'm looking at that. So
Okay.
if you go to the first line,
Yeah.
was voided. So the second line, rides are 2,800 for 50% deposit.
Yeah.
So that's, let's say it's 6,000.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And
Then there's a double payment, but there's also another 2,000, so it's like 8 more. The tents were a lot more.
And it goes.
Should buy a couple tents.
They pay
Save
for
us-
the bouncy.
Oh, you're right, credit to recognized deposit, yeah.
You have to pay for the bouncy ride?
They should pay for the bouncy rides, yes. There's nothing free in town. That's what a lot of our constituents are complaining about.
Prizes for the,
That
the
it's
ring
town day,
toss
but
and
you're
everything's
paying
like
for town day, you know?
2,300.
It's not a real true town day.
I wasn't bringing anybody to bubbly jumping tents, but I didn't know they paid till now. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. No. So, there's $84,000 sitting around for 5 years. Nothing's been done.
I think with the sponsorships, right? If we're getting all these sponsorships,
We're good.
maybe we could, give something to the residents, that they don't have to pay for.
Well,
That's what I'd like to see is where, what's coming in and what's going out, because,
You just don't see it here.
when we walked around town, a lot of my complaints was, you guys call it Town Day, and it's a great thing, we all get out, but we're getting nickel and dimed at Town Day over everything, and it's,
That's the Township of Washington.
and I just, if we could do something to help the town, if it's supposed to be Town Day, we should pick up I understand we can't pick up the whole tab, but if we're making the money back, from all the sponsorships and stuff, maybe the bouncy houses are free or something, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there,
I guess that's where,
But you're going to Town Day and you're dropping $50, $60.
so,
Just throw an extra 60 on your taxes.
I'm not saying
Come
that,
on.
Steve.
No, I'm not saying that. Oh, God, no.
so how
That's-
did we aggregate the reserve? Is that the revenue?
That's the buildup of many years.
On
We've
the
only had it
revenue
for
side?
4 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, she gets the money and puts it right in there.
it's about
So
20
if you look
grand
at
a
last
year.
You'll see it went
So we
from
could have had it for free,
60 to
but,
84 or something.
Yeah, for a couple of years, for 3 years.
But I guess, does that include both the sponsors?
I don't know what it includes.
And-
That's the unknown.
That's what I'm asking.
No, you have the detail, don't you? I have it here.
On the revenue side?
Revenue side. we're talking.
Yeah.
No, there's no revenue.
No, I have reports up here.
So I guess my question, is it just the sponsors that we're building up that reserve with, or is it
Oh, maybe I
also
didn't bring it with
the
me.
ticket, like the ticket sales?
No, ticket sales, I think, go to, how does that come?
No, it's everything. No, you get, that comes
I
back
think
in.
everything goes in.
Everything gets back in. I
That's
don't
the-
have it, actually, it's upstairs in my office, but I
That's the
do
way
have it.
that's the way it was done in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
Everything got thrown into that account.
Yeah, it did. So,
If I could find it, it would be helpful, but I can't find it.
All right, so let's those two things, we have to check the reserves and see if we're okay with them.
no, yeah.
No, the reserves are
No,
there.
the reserves is plenty.
So,
Yeah, there's
you know.
$84,000 in there.
So,
Maybe we have a true Town Day this year where we use up the reserves and not charge everybody.
Well, you don't even have to use up the whole reserve.
No, you only need 22,000, you said, or
I think
no.
the revenues were 15.
you're not going drunken sailor on me, are you?
Yeah, he is. He is. He's getting out of hand now.
Mike and I could bring our dogs so we can have a petting zoo at no cost.
My lab's not,
Can we maybe bang out the rest of this?
yeah.
So Town Day, I'm fine with. I think the note is also to fund the holiday celebrations,
That was additional line item, yes.
fund all from reserve. Is that the Town Day reserve
Yeah,
that he's anticipating?
yeah. It's all the public, whatever this.
Celebrations,
public
it's
events.
called celebrations.
Yeah, it says Memorial Day, Summer Concert Series, 9/11 Ceremony, Veterans Day, and Holiday Tree Lighting.
Oh, that's where that summer concert series is.
Yes, it's in holiday celebrations and remembrances.
Oh, I think what happened was we didn't have money there for the deposit, so we funded it there and we're gonna reclass. So there's the answer to that question.
Well, hopefully the mayor will have more information on this and we check the reserves and, right?
All right, if we're going to fund it from reserves, yes.
All right, on page 52, I don't have anything. On 53, I don't have anything.
Wait, go back on, where was it? Oh, we haven't gotten to Muni Court yet. Okay,
No.
sorry. I do want to stop you real quick on 53.
Yeah,
I think I'd mentioned that I was testing all the budget figures based on how we're hit, the money that's being hit so far. The gasoline line items for all three are coming in higher than even with the increase that the mayor suggested. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I haven't even been able to talk to him about this. But for instance, on the gasoline, diesel, the police line, you
Yeah.
budgeted 23,000.
Yeah.
If you annualize what we're using so far, it's gonna come in at over 23,000. I had 23,131, so if you make it like 24, we should be okay, or you can make it 23,500. The next line, the 5,500 line, is coming in at a projected 6,500. The 27,000 line is coming in at a projected 28,132. Now, we could have more usage because, like for the DMF, because of the plowing.
snowstorms, yeah.
But at the end of the day, we could do transfers. It's up to you, but I
I'm
think.
okay with leaving it for $131. We could transfer that from somewhere, right, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of them are about 1,000 or two, a couple grand up. But I thought I'd
We
be.
could transfer those,
I
right?
thought I'd be remiss not to mention it.
Are we okay with leaving it in letter, and we'll transfer it when we get to it, gentlemen? If we do get to it, maybe the prices will go down, I don't know. being optimistic.
Okay, at least
You're
it's been
one of
noted
the most
by,
optimistic people I know.
I'm very optimistic,
You're
right?
very optimistic.
There you go. 55, I don't have anything. 56, I don't have anything. 57, I do have a hold on 490110 for the court administrator.
Okay, I did the math, and the
Yep.
mayor's fine with this. The revised recommend is $19,032.
So it is what it was. That's what I have, 19,000.
No, I'm sorry. That was, no, I'm looking at the wrong amount. Where did I have it?
Oh,
The
okay,
court-
that's-
Okay, so the average of, I apologize, I didn't write the new amount here. Where, oh, no, the revised amount is 21.5, sorry.
For what line item is that?
Court administrator.
490110.
21.5, because the comment was, I mentioned the adjusted extra hours. She's averaging 13.5 hours a week, so.
Gentlemen, we okay with 21,500, which kind of matches what she worked this year? Mm-hmm. Everybody okay with that?
yeah, yes.
That's the mayor's recommendation?
Yes.
The mayor's recommendation.
Yes.
Right. Moving on page 58, I have outside contractors, 490320 as a hold, Marianne?
This was still, the court administrator wanted to leave it for potential absences.
Okay. Is everybody okay with the 500 there?
Yes.
And the next one I have is 902-200 for cap fund.
Okay, that was, so there was some things that were pushed through to you guys from Ashley. Originally, the number was not necessarily, calculated per se. It was designed to cover what we have to do as our 5% down payment and get a little bit money out of our regular surplus current into the capital where we would need it if we ever need it. And then in the email that was sent over on today about 2 o'clock, originally the holdup was, just so you know, she addressed it to Peter and I, and then I didn't realize, I kept saying to Peter, did you get a chance to review it? But she didn't send it, she forgot to include him, and she only sent it to me. So when we finally got our heads together, he said, go ahead, forward it. This is the one where she talks about that with the fact that there was only 15,000 left in the fund, and that amount would be a down payment on a bond ordinance not to exceed 291, yet she's familiar with what the capital plan is. So she said the capital plan is a known 1.488, and the intersection acquisition, she asked me, she goes, do you have any number? I said, I pulled 2 million out of the clear blue. And I said, so based on a 3,488,000 plan for this year, the 5% would be 174, 426.35. You see where I'm reading from?
Yes.
And then, so that would give you a little bit of a $125,000 cushion in that number, plus the 15, so you have 140 there. That would be available for future funding of future plans. So that's where the 300,000 comes from.
All right, so here's my deal with the whole thing, with this. If you look at the email that we received tonight,
Which one?
This March 26, 2018, 2:15.
March
2:15,
24th.
yeah.
March 24th.
No,
No,
Yeah, go to March 24th.
oh, you want to go to March
that's
24th?
different.
I know it's different,
Okay, well,
but you just explained the March 26th one, we get that, right? So if we go to the back sheet, the
Bond issue 2019 sheet, Mr.
no,
Brewer?
this one,
Oh, okay.
oh, the reserves.
okay. So, what I didn't understand, although Ashley felt it was clear, but I didn't get it. Anticipated revenue means that money we can use.
I don't have that sheet.
Yeah,
You gotta go with a different email, the March 24th email.
I have
it
March
was,
24th.
there was the one where I said Bob Sunshine Law.
Oh, yes, it's another March, it's 11:32 a.m.
Okay, so this was basically, this was how Ashley and I were spending our Saturday.
So the deal on this is, anything that says anticipated revenue is free money. So if you go from the 5,259,000 to the 203,570, although that's gone, because that's earmarked for deferred charges, and I still don't know if we have the response on that.
We
So
do, it's in there.
It's $6.4 million. of anticipated revenue means it's free money.
Well, no, I want to just to clarify. You asked where the money's sitting, what's the name of the account, and what's the money, and how to access it. When she says anticipated revenue, that means if you want to use it in your budget, you anticipate it as a revenue in your revenue side to defray what you have to tax the people. So you figure out your appropriations, you include that in your anticipated revenue, that the difference is what you tax people. So that's when the anticipated revenue. I just want you to keep saying it's free money. I just want to let you know that the right side is designed, because you kept saying, how do we tap the money?
I get it.
Okay.
But it's free money.
Okay.
So to go to the point of the $300,000 that we put in for the capital improvement fund?
Yes.
Where she says we need a minimum of $175,000?
Right. If you do.
But the difference is the cushion, which I get, because it's down to nothing. So what I'm saying, which is what we all have to put our heads together, is there's $6.4 million sitting here right now. So, and the mayor took $2.1 million in his cap surplus that he's using of the 6.4, right? So the cap surplus we just put as a revenue, but it wasn't allocated to anything. It's just one number, because every year we put in 1.2, 1.4. This year, the mayor put in 2.1 million. But my point is, of the 2.1 million, do we allocate 300 of that against the 300 here, and we don't extra tax the people, because that's a big number. So last year, what we did was, because we had all this extra money.
The only way to put it towards the 300 is to take it in as a revenue.
I understand that.
And then show
No,
the
I understand that,
appropriation.
but he's using, Peter's using 2.1 million as cap surplus that he's bringing back this year.
Yes, not cap surplus, current fund,
Surplus.
current fund. Cap surplus is different.
Sorry, right, surplus. So he's bringing that back,
Okay.
where normally we bring back 1.2, 1.4.
The reason he's bringing 2.1 is because the appropriations are much higher than last year, almost a million higher. Almost a
Right,
million.
so
And the
this is my
buildup
point.
of, you're up to 5.2, whereas it hadn't been that high.
But my point is, so we're increasing that by, let's just say, $600,000, $700,000 more than any prior year that we've been here.
Correct.
So what is that $700,000 buying us, or is it just the number that he put in?
It's 700, no, it's just, it's not designed for anything in particular.
I
It's to
understand. So that's
support
my
the fact
point.
that you're
I
gonna have
get
this
it.
high
I get it.
spending.
I get it, but that's my point. So we're gonna throw 700 in there, but what is the 700 being used? Because now you say, well, appropriations are $1 million more. Where did we spend $1 million more? 300 of it is this.
300 of it is
Right.
that, and a lot of it is the
Yeah, but
police
I just want to be
pension.
clear that when we put this money back, that it's going against 300, we're taxing the people, the 300 here, but we're giving it back in the 2.1.
From the
Right, so-
anticipated
so
revenue.
So that goes away, so now that leaves technically 400 left, because we've always done 1.4. So
I'm
what's the
assuming-
400 being
One
used?
second. I'm assuming that the sale of useful assets, that's the middle
Building.
school, is that correct?
Yes,
I believe so.
So I
that's the
say,
building.
we don't, that can't be in the equation, okay? You leave that sitting on the side, because that should be earmarked to go back to the school system somehow. We talked
that's-
about that, Peter and I talked about that, so
Yeah, but
let's use the
Steve, hold on a minute.
Well, that's not even the conversation.
I know you
We're-
talked about it, but we didn't talk about it.
But we're
So-
not
I
on,
understand that, but I'm
but wait a
saying-
second, guys, we're not
I'm
on revenues yet.
No, but I
I'm
want to be
just saying,
clear, I would just want to be clear,
hear that out.
we have a big $300,000 nut that we're going to tax people for. So I want to understand, of the 2.1 million that was put back in surplus, what is that 2.1 used to offset?
All of the, it's not,
No,
it's fungible. It's not like anything.
I know it's
You're
fungible.
trying to figure out why you have to
I
draw
don't
on
want it to be a
2.
placeholder.
Well, the point is, for
Everything's
a
a
couple
placeholder in
reasons.
this budget. We're
there's-
throwing money all over as
No,
a
no, no, no.
placeholders.
The logic of the 2.1 is that you have more monies than you've had in the past because of money being squirreled away.
I understand
And
the
again,
logic. Been saying this for 2 years. I
reduce
get
the
the
tax
logic.
burden. You don't want to go higher because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you use up all your surplus and then you're going to face a
But,
tax
you know,
increase in 2 years.
How do you know you don't want to go higher? I mean, that's our decision.
No, okay, but I
Not
talked, I had a
yours.
long, I
It's
absolutely.
not Ashley's, it's the mayor could recommend, it's our decision how we want to use
1,000
$6.2 million of surplus.
1,000%
Right.
agree with you.
Okay.
Okay? I'm just saying to you, I could have rephrased that. In speaking with Mr. May today, we had long conversation about utilization of the surplus. You want to use something, you have to, in your analysis, make sure you're not leaving yourself in a situation where you don't have enough, you're not regenerating at the rate you used to regenerate. Last year, you spent a lot more. Instead of $1,500 of appropriated reserves or unappropriated reserves, you had 500. There's a significant decrease in what you're going to send back into surplus.
Last year, our appropriations were the lowest they've been. The year before that, in
Right.
15, they were low, and last year, they were even lower.
No, but you're not getting it. Janet, even with that, the mayor
know,
was
she didn't
able,
spend the
she
money.
didn't, well, that's
I
what I'm
get that.
saying. But last year's spending was a lot higher than it was as a percentage of the budget than the prior year. Your regeneration of surplus is
No,
going to be
Marion, it
less.
wasn't. I don't want to argue the point. Our
No.
appropriations were less last year than it was the year before.
I agree. I know that.
So we spent less because she didn't spend the money.
You're mixing terms.
appropriating.
I'm speaking very specific
Okay,
terms.
so this is why I had asked.
Bob, let her finish, because I want to...
No, but
You're
this is
talking
what
that
I-
we're not putting enough
No.
back into generate for
should
the
have
next
asked me.
year round, is that
What?
correct?
CFO.
No, what happens is you have to figure out how much you want to have
Right.
there in the books for bond ratings, for when you need to take money in. So now you've gotten into a habit of taking in at least $1 million. You have to, if all of a sudden next year you don't have 2 million or 1 million, you only get that if you regenerate, if you spend
Right.
less than you appropriate in your budget. It's not a design to do it. But one of the ways that you regenerate surplus too, and we haven't gotten to that, is the reserve for uncollected taxes, which I have information for you on.
That's on the
That's
next
one
page.
of the ways you regenerate surplus. The other way you regenerate surplus is if you take in more revenues than you budgeted, for whatever reason. The third way you generate surplus is if you spend less than you budgeted. So the component of spending less than you budget has been reduced based on the fact that you guys have trimmed the budget in the last couple years, coupled with the fact that finally last year, some of it being after when the new mayor took over, some of that money was spent down based on encumbrances that were paid. So it was just, all these years you've been putting so much into surplus because so much has been underspent. So that portion, so you're going to stop.
The portion is gone.
Yeah, you're going to stop regenerating that level of surplus.
Right.
I had the numbers from Lou last year. I want to say he said 700,000 flew into surplus the prior year. This year it's going to be more like 4,000, 5,000. He was talking numbers about how it wasn't. And then
Did you say 4,000 or 400?
400,000, sorry.
Okay.
And then there's the revenues, there was some, he went through and he said, some of this stuff you went into surplus was like FEMA, you're not gonna get that again. So it's a delicate dance, balance of how you,
You know
what
what?
number
I'm
you
not
have.
disagreeing with
Yeah,
you. I don't
yeah.
mean to cut you
Yeah.
off.
No, it's fine.
I just want people to be aware here that we have $6.2 million of money. Peter has allocated 2.1 from surplus to put against as revenue. So all I'm asking, we've put 1.4, 1.5 for as long as I can remember. So there's a $700,000 difference. If he's using 300 of that to offset the 300 cap that we just put in, the capital improvement fund,
Yeah.
that's fine. But then there's another 400 that he's putting in as a placeholder and.
For what?
And
You
for
wanna know what it is for.
And you just said the point is that, this year we spent more money.
It's not a placeholder, you guys are
I
playing
get
catch up
it.
with
No,
your
no, no,
spending.
you're not listening. I'm sorry. Just hear me out for a minute, please. Okay? He's putting money in against something. You can't just throw money in there and say, I'm gonna put this in there because it's 2.1 million.
Well, that's how you build a budget, you figure out
No,
what you have to
Marion,
spend.
please
and
let
then-
me finish, okay? I mean, this is why the CFO should be here. I understand your role in the budget, but, I also, my point is, we sat here tonight, we threw money in these pockets because we felt we should have this money with no explanation. So now we're putting $2.1 million in here, and I'm asking, what is the $2.1 million going for? You made a comment that we were appropriating more money, fine. So how much of this excess that we put in this year that we've never put in before is going against what? Versus just putting I'm not asking you for the answer, I'm just making a comment so
I'm just
everybody
saying,
knows.
well,
So right now, there's
92,000 is for the
$6.2 million that we have money for. Steve said hold $1 million because the school, I don't agree giving $1 million back to the school because I don't know what that means, but that's a different story.
Well,
So we have this
I'm
here.
not saying that if we use.
No, but hold on a minute, so just
Okay,
let me
go ahead.
finish. So that was one. You know, we go through this, we still have unfunded ordinances that are still floating around that we don't know. I think Mike and I said at a council meeting, is $170,000. We're still bringing back ordinances to pay off these receivables and these deferred charges, which I don't have an explanation, or we don't have an explanation of how they match to what we approved. We have a huge, huge unemployment reserve that's sitting there for several hundred thousand, and we spend $12,000, $13,000 a year in unemployment. So, you know, this is, again, if we're gonna look at this number, we need to pull all this stuff out. This is a piece of it. I mean, what's here is a piece of it, because I've been writing this and giving everybody the page numbers of what they should find. But, you know, we're still missing answers on what do we do with the big unemployment fund, and what do we do with the fact that we did an ordinance for some amount that I still don't understand how that amount equates to anything else here. So
Well, that-
that's not you, that's an Ashley conversation.
No, but it's here, and I'm the one who helped her figure out that amount. So I just wanted to tell you that 92,000 increase in the budget this year was for the police pension. I'm just trying to figure out, this is again with the conversation with Lou May.
What email are you on, Marion?
What?
Do you have this written down, or you?
No, I'm just going through the budget now on the fly, because I didn't know that,
No, I mean,
it's
you
not
don't have to do
typically.
it.
Well, I don't think you have to do it on the fly. I think we need,
Right.
I think.
No, but you typically do what Bob is asking, what generated, what caused the budget to go up by $1 million. It's the combination of all the different things that you're funding that hadn't been funded. There's another $40,000 in debt
Right,
service.
but 300, we know 300 went up from this one number. 'Cause
Yes.
We didn't have it last year.
And 92,000 for the police pension.
So that's
And
400.
40,000 for,
Excuse me.
the, debt service.
So that's 430.
I mean, all I'm trying to understand is, we said we went up, we threw money back at it somewhere. We have a lot of placeholders as far as I'm concerned, without explanation still, you know, but just because they're numbers.
45,000 for the field. So that's now 485.
The question is this gonna be sustainable?
That is the
What?
bottom line.
You know, if we're depleting at
That rate.
a clip of 2.1, and
I agree, but this is what I'm
Yes.
saying, so what does this really mean?
and we're not, you know, our tax, the assessment, the levy is gonna be flat year over
Right.
year, you know.
You can't sustain $2.1 million.
Well, you're gonna have a tax increase eventually. That's what
Yes.
you're gonna come down to, because you're not gonna be throwing 2.1 million in there.
Well, again, we talked about this being, and I understand, a catch-up year. Okay, there's stuff that is basically capital stuff that we won't have to spend next year, and that's what I'm hoping, okay? I'm
None of
hoping
this-
that would.
No, I think next year you have some huge capital items coming in.
The only
And the
thing
fire
that's-
trucks.
I mean, the 300K is the only capital item.
Right,
Yeah.
Everything else is
appropriations.
appropriation. So, you know, of the increase in appropriations, the question is, which ones are one time, and which ones are gonna
Right,
You know,
We knew every year.
come in and be part of our run rate, because that's essentially what we're gonna be looking at. You know, this year, so 2 years, we controlled expenses, we've tried to control expenses. We've had drawdown on surplus, basically at a rate that is lower than it's been replenished, so it's been growing. So we've cut expenses, we've taxed higher, and we've built this surplus. This year, we're flipping it completely around, and, you know, that's not gonna be sustainable
right.
in the long term. So,
There was another 50,000 increase in the general engineering.
So what I'm saying is, you know, we pick a number, we throw 2.1 million at it, but, you know, so what does that mean? Is it so that we don't tax taxpayers again, or is it because, you know, this is money that we need, we want to put in there, or we know we're not going to do it again? You know, we've got to give back money, there's no doubt about it. We can't sit with $6.2 million. And there's still I know there's a couple $100,000 in the unemployment fund, which I can't find, and we spend $15,000 a year on unemployment.
I agree, I know that, because I
can't find it, but I
personally
know.
said stop funding it, because I,
It's another, so this is what I'm saying, if we clean out the rest of the funds and the rest of the cash things that we haven't hit.
Could find a lot more reserve, yeah.
Yeah, there's still the unfunded ordinances what you found 2 years ago that still have a piece in there. Now we used a couple hundred to write off a receivable from bad bookkeeping. So they get hurt on that. So what I think the plan is, my suggestion is, okay, we have this money, we have a budget, how do we match what we want to match? Like you said, what's the run rate, what's coming back, what's not coming back, and what does it all mean? Then you have your forecast out for the next 3 years.
Because this is going to leave a council in 2 years
With nothing.
with a problem.
Right.
well, next year you won't have the 300,000, you'll have maybe
You'll be making debt
200.
payment. You'll
No,
be making debt.
you're absolutely right. I just think that in order to balance the budget and maintain a tax rate, we're drawing on the surplus. And I think we've all agreed all along that we want to draw this down. I think it's a matter of, do we want to draw it down to support ongoing operations, or do we want to use it to support capital projects that won't be recurring? I would propose that we don't pull it out and use it to supplement current run, because it's not going to be there in the long term.
Right.
So if we use it this year, the 4 point whatever that's left, seriously consider not drawing it down and paying salaries or paying to keep the lights on. It's the intersection, it's a field,
Yeah, there's
it's
a lot.
any number of
There's
things.
a lot of stuff in there. All
So
right, Joe.
do you, Marianne, have you updated this file, whatever this file is, the budget analysis? Sorry.
No, I will update it, that's what I was hoping to get everything done today, so I can get you.
We have it in our packet for this weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've done most of it. I haven't updated
By
from the
tonight.
last two meetings. This is done through March 9th. So the last couple of meetings I had input in, I was waiting to do them all in one fell swoop. You got a few big nuts. Well, getting to that, a real correlated number, if I might, okay? The reserve for uncollected taxes. If I could just, even if you don't want to make a decision, I just want to give you information. So that number is based on, it's statutory, you have to reserve for the potential that you're not going to collect the taxes that you then are obligated to pay to the county and to the schools. Because if for some reason your taxpayers don't pay you, you still have to pay the county and the
Correct.
schools. So there's the statutory formula that you have, and it's based on the total tax nut for all those components. And you typically use your collection rate from the prior year. We had a very good collection rate last year, it was 99.07%. If you use that rate, which is the minimum, your reserve for uncollected taxes is only like 343.
Instead of 879.
Both Lou May and Lurch Vinci think that would be the most absurd thing in the world to do that. When it was originally presented to me by Lurch Vinci, it was 897. It was
Correct, that's-
more than the prior year's amount. Do
Well,
you
it's
have priors?
879. It's 879 is what I have.
No, but they gave me a calculation where it was,
Even higher than that.
it was higher than that, and I said, we can't tolerate that in this budget. So they said it was at the collection rate they used was 97.67%, which was what had been used to calculate it in the years past. And so the number came out to be 897,436. I said, give me the number. I know there's play in that number. What is the number? So he gave me a new figure. It was 98%, and that new number came in at 767,737. Again, it's discretionary. Like I said, the minimum is 353. But if you did that, you would essentially guaranteed not regenerate that into surplus, and historically you have regenerated that into surplus. Last year
So it's a
you
placeholder for
reserved,
surplus, yeah.
but it's not a dollar for dollar. Lou may walk me through this. So last year, net of what you didn't collect, and again, it seems like it's a lot when that small percentage, but because you're factoring in all the taxes, not just the muni tax, it was about 565 or thereabouts of the 767 that came back into surplus. However, 350,000 was pulled out for a reserve by the CFO for tax appeals. So only 215 came into surplus. So
of the $800,000, you're saying 200 we don't collect. That's what you just said.
Roughly, yeah. You end up getting it, yeah.
Right, so I asked that question last week. How much of the 800 do we not really collect? What's historically been the amount?
So it's been 200.
So it's 200. So you're saying that leaves 600, but 300 was taken out.
350 was reserved.
Okay.
And so you had, whatever, 215 to whatever. I don't have all the documents in front of me, but this is all in the AFS. You can follow how it works.
I mean, if you look at the percentage and you look at the amount of money here, the total amount that we're looking at is it's probably $7.5 million on capital appropriations of 12.5. I mean, it's a huge percentage that we're sitting with. And it's just, you know, some towns have nothing, some have 2 million, some have whatever. Nobody really knows, because I researched it. Nobody really knows what they have or want or keep. But again, we're sitting on a boatload of money that everybody's been taxed for, that we just need to understand how it rolls out, what we use it for, what we're going to do to offset. Do we want it to offset, you know, every item here, instead of just throwing a number in here and saying we're going to keep the taxes at $1, which, you know, that's great, but what are we using it for?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
So we left the 879. Ashley used,
No, Ashley didn't do this. This was,
No, but Mike's saying if we leave the 879, she took 300 of the 600 back, so we only put 300 back in the surplus, right?
yeah.
so we would anticipate regenerating about 300,000 in surplus.
No, next year based on it, if you use the same number, it would be more. It'd be like the 500,000 or 600,000, yeah.
But the 300 reserve is not necessarily.
It's a one-shot deal.
But you don't know if it's going to be used up either, right?
Yeah, no, you could possibly take that back in, but it's, for the time being, it's stowed away.
It's a placeholder.
It's a placeholder, which you need to.
Yeah, that's fine, if you need to.
And then again, to one of the other part of the conversation, so in talking about, you know, bonding, and it's all correlated, next year, as you know, this year's our last year of debt service for one of your bonds. So next year, your option could be, rather than go out to bond this year, wait and take the money that you saved that you would have applied to debt service, the 400,000, and pay down your bands, so that when you do issue the debt, you're issuing less debt, and your debt, your budget is pretty consistent, your tax rate. The other thing is, if you find the other, yeah, that's the gamble. Yeah, because Lou was talking about that's what he would do. I said, but then you're gambling against the interest rates, and they're on their way up, and they're, yeah. The other thing is that potentially you could do is not do that, and the 400,000 of savings is used. You don't have to draw so much into surplus. So next year, if you don't have as much surplus, you have less debt service.
That's the other thing too, Mike, the bonds are going down. And that comes back to us.
Yeah, but that, I agree, but, you know, we haven't been paying, I mean, this whole ban thing is like a shell game, because all we're doing is kicking it down the road, and eventually,
It's going to come due.
so the 400, whether we do long-term debt or short-term debt, it should definitely be used for.
But
Another thing you can do is, if you want to alleviate some of the burden on the taxpayers, take some of the money and apply it to pay down more principal on the bands.
But Ashley's schedule, when she did the bands, she actually did it where she had a certain amount every year that she was going to pay down, assuming some debt, without bonding it. She just said, I'm going to pay this amount, I think it was $400,000 every year for the next 10 years. I forget, it's in the schedule.
Yes, because
So she tried to schedule it out and said, let me just do it this way. I keep this, I pay this amount every year, and in 10 years it's all gone.
Because her proposal was never to if I recall, her proposal was never to permanently bond the bands. She was of the opinion that we're better off keeping it, rolling it, and just paying it down as we would.
And we could always convert it any time we want.
Yes.
But she had and the reason was because she had a flat amount every year.
Correct.
Right across, boom. So you always know what you're paying.
Yes.
I like that strategy.
I mean, I have to look at it again, but that's what she did.
Question is that, again, that it all assumes a interest rate environment that is friendly.
Correct.
And we've been watching, you know, how many
It's creeping.
rate hikes have we had in the past 18 months?
But that's what I'm saying, if she runs out these scenarios, you know, it's 3%, here's 5%.
All right, gentlemen, motion to adjourn for tonight?
Yeah, before we do again, I just want to...
Yeah, but no.
Yeah, but no?
Yeah, but not really.
Yeah, but no. No, listen, it's the big piece of the budget here, guys.
So
and
that's- I
ladies,
mean-
so I just want to make sure that we look at this money.
Yeah.
We understand.
Which
what
one are you
we're
looking at
using it
now,
for.
Mr.
No, I'm not giving you anything anymore, because I looked at them, but. And then I'd like to look, you need to focus a little bit on what Ashley did on the long-term debt,
Yes.
so that, you know, this all plays out. Now, what she said, which I understand, is, you know, the budget has a number in it, but it doesn't affect any debt until you do an ordinance. But the idea is, if we do a budget, we're gonna have an ordinance, so that's why that number she's gotta put those numbers back in there. You know, she says it's two different things. You budget a number, but you don't do an ordinance.
No,
so
but you don't
it's
need
not
to
in
do
debt.
you don't need to do that, and that shouldn't hold up the current fund budget.
I'm not saying that, but I'm
Okay.
saying if technically we're putting capital in there, and instead of in the past not spending it, we're going to spend it, then we have to assume we're gonna have an ordinance for that capital and then roll that out in debt.
Well, that's what she's saying, though, that by funding the capital improvement fund at the level of 300,000, you have plenty if you do what you're anticipating, even if you budget the intersection for 2
No, I'm not
million.
talking about that piece. I'm talking about the total, the 1,448,000 plus 2 million is 3,448,000, right? Her comment was, if you don't do ordinances for that, you know, it really,
Yeah.
like, you don't have any
Yeah,
debt.
yeah.
It's just in your budget.
Yeah.
And I get that, but I'm
placeholder.
saying, let's assume we're gonna have ordinances for that, and we're
Yeah.
gonna roll out so many this year, so many next year, so many the next year.
Yeah,
And
but-
then run it out.
But what happens is that also does not affect your current fund budget. She didn't want to be thought of as holding up this
No, I
process.
get that.
No, she was concerned about that. So because your debt matures in August, you can decide between now and then whether you're going out for bonds or you're issuing bands.
Right.
So one other thing, before, Bob, you said you're still not sure about just because food for thought, it's a big nut. The deferred charges, she gave the explanation. When you passed the resolution canceling the ordinances, it was based on what was encumbered at the time. I told you that I then noticed that there were open POs, blanket POs, that were not due and payable to the tune of about 40 grand. And I brought that to her attention. So then she redid her deferred charges to the amount. I said, well, then that 40 grand, that difference, is that sitting somewhere? She said, no, it's not sitting anywhere to be spent. So the number that you have for the deferred charges is the right number. She's confirmed again.
Okay.
And you have a revenue coming in equal measure.
So there's two things. Can she look at what's still funded and unused from the year of the flood?
She will, and she said that should not affect this because it does not affect, it will affect how you bond going out, but you
No, but
cannot
we used
draw on
We used
that.
that money last year. We took that money in.
You
And the only
can't-
other thing I
she
want
said-
to do is the unemployment fund. It's huge.
Yes, I know it is.
I think we should take that. It's sitting there doing nothing.
I don't know statutorily if I don't know. I think that's not funded by anything other than discretionary funding. I know.
But there's a couple $100,000 in there. We pay $15,000 a year.
Well, it can go into
unemployment.
surplus. It's not going to affect, again.
It's another 300 we can use.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's
You're
all I
right.
wanna
So you're
know.
regenerating.
I want to know all
And
the
I'm,
money
and
we
I,
can
and I'm
use.
going to get you more out of your grants appropriated grant reserves.
Just getting back to that million that was given, or we did when we sold the middle school. You know, I think we all want to give it back to the school system, but I wouldn't give it back to the school system unless we were going to get some use out of it, you know? I mean, we took it from the school, it's our money 30 years ago, but we should give it back so our residents can use something.
Well,
And you had an idea at one time, which I thought was a fantastic idea.
But I don't think this is a conversation.
But I'm just saying that I don't want to touch that.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Before we adjourn,
I don't want to touch it.
real quick, sorry to do this. You all put your budget books away?
Yes.
Yes.
Uniform and safety equipment, I don't want to forget this. This was the number we asked for the goggles and everything
I
like
thought we
that.
agreed on that.
Yeah.
However, there was all this money that was spent already that I did not realize. He gave me the number for just the stuff he didn't have before. There was already money spent, so it was at 2,000, and now the new recommend is 3,500, because he's already spent a ton of money.
What was the number that we approved and what did they spend
It's
already?
801-26, 290, 400. It's on page 37,
All right, 37.
Is this the mayor's recommend also?
yes.
We,
So there was 1,093 in equipment that he spec'd out.
What number is this again?
801-26, 290, 400.
Yep, okay, we have $2,000 right now.
Okay, because that was based on a 1,093 ask, and then there was some cushion.
Yeah.
But in actuality, he spent 1,287, and there's another second boot allotment of 770, which brings you up to 2,057, plus the 193. I had it at 3,500, the new request. Because they hadn't gotten boots, and they're technically allowed twice per year, so they got one.
Twice per year.
Yeah,
that's not part of their clothing allowance,
they don't get a clothing allowance,
only the police.
yeah. So that's part of their contractual.
Gentlemen, mayor has made a change to 290,400 to 3,500. Are we okay with it?
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We approved 2,000.
Motion to adjourn.
So plus 1,500. right?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks.